And there we go. Yeah, first of all, sorry about the delay. I had an early morning appointment thing that I had to add, more of a, not really an appointment, more of a meeting, kind of stuff that usually happens early in the morning. So yeah, I had to be at that, and unfortunately, my body at the same time decided like, no, you're not gonna sleep early. You're just gonna barely have any sleep and have to also commit to this meeting because you have to, and just enjoy yourself by being completely sleep deprived and having to come back home, taking a lengthy, I would not even call it nap at that point, considering the amount of hours I slept after I came back, but it's within that regard. So yeah, I did the sleep in bit, so I had to delay the start of that. But now we are at it. We are here to make discussions. To be fair, so far with the Lancer things, discussions have been a bit more brief, or at the very least a lot shorter in coverage, and that might be, maybe in the long run, that may be better, because once I'm done with the topic and I'm within a reasonable amount of stream time, I considered it like I've done my thing for today, and I can also call it as an early early end. So I guess at this point, if I started an hour later, it would still end probably at within expected hours, and for everybody to kind of like chime in and chip in and do all that kind of thing. Also, another thing that I do want to say, considering the chip in and all that, first of all, thanks again for all of your support and that you've offered me. That has been surprising, to say the least, especially this month, because it has been kind of tight, and I think you're just saving by the half of my skin at this point, because yeah, it was a really close call. So yeah, you've helped me out with the with my loan payments, but there's still a bit more to cover, unfortunately. As you can see, I'm almost, I would say at this point, like 2/3 of the way there. I just need another third, and maybe even less, because there's still that Twitch payout that I still need to get, which I'm hoping next month I'm gonna reach it. So that means that I no longer need to worry about covering for September, and the only thing remaining will be October. So yeah, if the payout comes around next month, I will update the goal, because the whole point of the goal is to help me cover those payments, those expenses, nothing else. Anything else support related after that will come probably through Throne. Maybe I'll still have the coffee up for other things. To be fair, for like certain content, coffee, it's still up for other things that you can offer, but probably for like a certain certain goals and all that kind of thing. Maybe I'll use Throne. I'll think about it. How exactly I'm gonna separate that, but yeah, technically there's still, oops, sorry, bumped the mic. Technically there's still Throne there for that side of things, but again, right now I have other priorities, so I'm pushing this, which also, as I said before, it's gonna enable me that once I'm out of this worry, and that I don't have to worry about that, hey, I need to figure some things out and cash in as fast as I can with other things, then that means that I can focus on other more creative things, and don't have to worry about having to make big bucks to cover my expenses. So that would be nice. But yeah, right now it's no longer an emergency, at the very least, so I'm not gonna put a pressure about it, and hopefully September won't be an emergency either. But as I said, if you help me out make these payments faster than planned, that's even better, because that's, again, as I said, it's going to enable me to work on other things and be able to do it stress-free with it, because when it comes to money stuff, that kind of thing, especially when it comes to like loans and debts and that kind of thing, that kind of shit stresses me out. It's one of the few things that really kind of fucks with my head and stresses me. So yeah, because I'm generally very frugal with money, and I don't like to be in these kinds of situations. But things have kind of reached a breaking point. I've just literally being out of anything because I've literally all my savings, everything has been gone. I have nothing at this point. I'm gonna be fair with you. So yeah, this help has been insane, amazing, and I do appreciate it. And also, another reason why I want to be out of it pretty fast is because on October I'm also gonna be jumping in, because I did already mention, even though it hasn't been officially called or I haven't had the official reach out, but I'm expecting that things are gonna happen as expected. That, you know, can be part of the Stream for a Cause Halloween event for the charity. So that's definitely something that's gonna happen, and that's gonna happen technically post last payment, hopefully, if everything goes through in time. So, you know, I want to kind of be out of that hole. So that means that during the charity, you know, all the focus for money raising, it's gonna just be charity focus, and I don't have to stress about anything else. And honestly, if things move fast, I have like an idea already. I just haven't thought about the logistics of it yet. What I would like to do for this, and I hopefully can bring in some other people, it's either some usual known people within the group, or maybe some people from within a cause. Who knows? I'm still thinking about that. I have like a vague idea of what I'm not saying too much about it, just so I'm not, you know, building up hype for something that who knows if it's gonna happen or not. Again, I need to first get myself out of this kind of like bit of a situation, and once I'm out of it financially, then I can go on and do this without stress. But yeah, although sorry, I just dropped something. Although there are some other prospects not related to streaming or my other general content creation things maybe on the horizon, I'm not necessarily hopeful, but there could be some other things that could come up that might help me out in that regard. Although that might affect how, you know, I'm gonna handle my streams and all that kind of thing, but that might also offer some more expendable income. So, you know, at least I can cover up some of the things that are lacking with, you know, hopefully better quality in other aspects. But yeah, that's just things for, another time, things for later. So now that I kind of covered all of this, not sure if I have anything else specific to mention, like to announce today. Because right now I'm still kind of, you know, getting back into the hang of things, and so far so good. To be fair, being that, you know, week is most of the other people who probably would be around are occupied. That so it's most likely that I'm gonna there's not gonna be any interruption, and I'm just gonna jump in and keep with the usual. So I don't think there's gonna be any unexpected reasons for me to cancel or anything of the sort. So that should be fine. Okay. So yeah. But other than that, I'm not sure. I don't think I have anything else to mention. Oh, no, just it's probably the usual. I'm still probably gonna think what exactly. I don't know, because I did say for cover the update in ZT, so I'm probably gonna move the Lancer talk for Wednesday, most likely. So we're gonna have some other shenanigans to discuss about on so that way on Friday I can jump directly into the update, and you know, it's also a bit of a buffer time, so the day bit of a day buffer for anybody who hasn't, you know, jumped in or who wanted to kind of like jump in before I cover it. And you know, if they don't just want to have like a, you know, first time experience of it to my stream, you know, that's also understandable, because at the very least, some of you who are around here also play ZZ, that's kind of thing. I still haven't looked at the update, so I have no idea exactly what to expect out of the new characters and all that. I should probably take a look at that. Didn't have a time for it when it went live. I was away, if I remember correctly. Not necessarily in the mood of it. And then after that, I just completely forgot, because for the most of the weekend I was away. Then I just kind of forgot throughout this week. So maybe I'll have a look at it soonish, because I'm curious about Seed. I'm honestly kind of like, what's her deal? I'm definitely gonna pull for her. She's gonna is my guarantee pull, because unfortunately I'm slowly starting to dislike Asaba as an electric attacker, so I would like to try something different as a character, so I'm hoping that's could be that. Orphe, unfortunately, I think I'm gonna skip her, just because we're getting a ton of new characters in the next update already from the teasers. 2 new Ruptures, an A rank and an S rank, Tentacle Woman and the Monoto, and also a support, Ether support S rank, which I am suspecting that is gonna be meta, or at the least helpful for other Rupture type characters, and specifically for those kind of teams. And considering that right now we are in a point in the story where Rupture is kind of a must type of mechanic that you need to acquire, I think I'm just gonna focus at the very least of having a decent team for that. I'm already like building up Pan, so I can have him with Yushuan. Well, so yeah, I'm banking on the idea that the support character might be able to cover all of that as well. Also, hey, another ice character I don't mind, because I realized I kind of have a theme specifically with the ice characters, because I enjoy Ellen, I enjoy the Hugo. I guess I'm just gonna go with this one as well. I don't have Miyabi just because in too many characters come for at everything, and I think with Anomaly I just wanted the other things at the moment. I wanted Miyabi. I'm still gonna be on the eye for if she ever gets another rerun in the future, maybe. If no other more interesting ice anomaly jumps around the corner. That is. Because right now for the anomaly teams, I'm kind of locked in with some decent ones. You know, I have Yuzuha, I have Vivian, I have Jane, so I have a decent one for like general physical. For electric, from my understanding, Grace can work. We can make like a hyper support or like a hyper carry team with her alongside with Vivian and Yushan and Yuzuha, and in some scenarios even I think Rina can help out, and some Rina or Seth, I think. So those are also kind of on the radar to kind of be dealt. Definitely, I put them up for a long while now, especially Rina. And in this chapter or season of the storyline, pen ratio is definitely going to be a must alongside Rupture. So Rina being one of the few can offer that. Definitely have to catch up once I am done with, which is probably going to be the next thing once I'm done, probably with whatever team I'm going to make with Seed. I'm hoping that Seed is not going to require me other characters aside from what I already have for the general support, or if it is any other, I'm hoping that it's Rina out of the ones, because right now I'm pretty close to finishing Pan with farming, although I do still have to farm his skill point level up material, which that's going to take a while, even with the current boost up, because I just built Yuzuha when kind of consumed all of that farm. Yeah, that's definitely gonna be a thing. But thankfully, I'm not in any rush with disk drive farming for the time being. I think most of the characters that I currently have are decent. Some of the ones that technically would require some changes are not like necessarily priority. Like Sabat, technically I'm still farming some things for him. I need to kind of refocus a bit of his stat points, but again, because I'm probably going to replace him with speed, it's not necessarily a priority, but I'm still doing it just kind of to have him as an alternative, just in case, I don't know, there is a scenario where I'm going to need electro teams. Although I do have Grace. But anyways, I'm also curious a bit on the Honkai side of things. Although it's still earlier right now to kind of get a sneak peek of things. We're just slowly getting onto the second half. But again, I still enjoyed kind of getting back into Honkai Star Rail. Not, you know, I took it a bit, and I kind of realized how it might also be just because, you know, the Fate update might have been a bit more packed, and this one feels to me that it has a bit less things to do, so it's kind of a more chill way for me to kind of jump in and jump out of the game right now, which I do not mind. Well, ZZ, it's still a bit more on the higher kind of focus of what I'm doing with content. It might also because I think they did a ton of the weekly things, or like the monthly end game content that it resets. From what I've seen, now has like longer time spans for reset. Like some of them are like almost a month long. I'm like, damn, it really gives you enough time to actually, you know, farm for them and do all that. But I'm curious about that. And also, I did see the teaser announcement for I forgot how it's called. It's another Honkai. It's basically Honkai Pokemon from, at the very least from what I've seen from the teaser. I'm not sure exactly if there is any gameplay teaser of any sorts, but at the very least from the cinematic one. The best way I can say it, it's Honkai but Pokemon. So like Pokemon Gacha, I'm guessing. Not sure, I don't think I'm gonna be interested in that. Again, too many gachas, I'm not gonna jump into everything. The ones that kind of, especially because, you know, I've never been in the Pokemon or like, you know, that kind of like collectathon type of circle myself, just because it's not really been a big thing around here where I live. So I haven't really grew up with it specifically. I grew up with a bit of TCG, specifically Duel Master. Yu-Gi-Oh! Kinda there, but more Duel Master was a bit more popular around here, at the very least within my circles. But even that, I'm not like the biggest TCG player. So, and to be fair, I wouldn't even know, like, technically TCG are already gachas in their own right. If you think a bit about it, they're just still loot box mechanics in all scenarios. Yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll give it a look-see, but I don't think I'm gonna like play it. Maybe I'm just gonna be like, hey, let's see what this game is about or whatever the fuck, just out of like posterity, because I have checked other Honkai or like MiHoYo things, but check more on that. On the gacha things, to be fair, the one that I do want, just because I've kind of enjoyed the concept, both the art style, the kind of direction and general concept of Arcanite. The end field is their first kind of jump, I think, into like more action combat type of gameplay from their usual like kind of like tower defense style, because I don't know, tower defense doesn't sound to my own liking. So curious to see what that's gonna be about. So I'm keeping an eye out on that one. That one is definitely something I'm probably gonna check out. Yeah, not sure exactly if we're gonna get any betas or anything from. There was like a beta test somewhere like early in the year or something like that, but that was it. Which at that point I didn't know, because I didn't know this game was happening. I found out through Gamescom about it, so I'm just gonna keep an eye out for it in recent times. To be fair, I'm not even sure when was this announced. 2023? Really? Or 5? So I'm suspecting this is gonna release soon. Because it has been announced in 2023, and we're already getting kind of towards the end of the year. So either is this gonna be like maybe a winter release. We got like there were like technical tests. There were like technical tests towards like early 2024, and the first beta test happened like late 2024, early 2025. Not knowing in what stage the beta test is, and not sure if I can get any comparisons. Let's see. It was like although I know ZZ also had quite a few beta runs and not just the one. I don't think, I'm pretty sure they've been a bit later. April 8th. Technically, yeah, there was like one not too late from pretty close to release, like a few months away. But I remember like they were like at least like 2 months beta test. Pretty sure. Here they've been like... Okay. And the first version got released on July, so still like 2-ish months that beta test. Again, I'm not sure if it's a valid comparison because you know every team is in a. I know ZZ's been announced for like a while. Oh, there might still be a few horizons. Maybe best case scenario, I'm expecting somewhere late this year, if not early next year. I'd be curious to see it just because I'm curious about like the what exactly they would do. Because I don't know, like the word and the themes of it looked interesting to me when whenever I've seen things of Arknights here and there. But you know, it's just the game itself. It's not something that really attracted me or intrigued me, so I have not really checked it out. So, but yeah, that's not here nor there. Just me generally yapping for like this first half an hour just to kind of have a bit of a warm up before we jump into other things. But yeah, when it comes to like newer things to check out, at some point once we're done with the gacha updates, because I'm pretty sure I'm probably gonna jump fast from one version to another. Although there might be a buffer of a week or two at least, I think. So because of that, one thing that I would like to check out at some point is probably gonna be Deadlock. I did see like a few of the new characters, and I know there's like a vampire character for the game, which I kind of feel obliged to check it out. Another thing that I would like to get back into it, because I know there has been quite a few updates, but we haven't checked it out its current state recently, is Soulframe, especially now that I have a gamepad, because I've not played it with a gamepad, and I'm pretty sure it has some extra things after, because I think we were like I forgot what kind of prelude were we at. Prelude 4 or 7? I think Prelude 7. I know there was like we started at a prelude where they did some like content reset or like account resets. At the very least, currently we're at Prelude 10. Definitely a few new things to check out from what I've heard, so that would be something to look at as well. But yeah, definitely those two. Maybe some Marvel Rivals things at some point, because I've not really checked too much of the new version. And I know there's also Blade released, and again, another vampire, so I'll check them out as well. I haven't really been in the multiplayer kick the past few weeks. Just haven't felt like it, honestly. Yeah, that's something I know, but that's something I can't really do at least not just on Twitch. Just probably we can do maybe as a YouTube exclusive thing, but I would like to do it once YouTube also gets monetized. So I guess consider that as a push for us to get monetized on YouTube. Is to it's check out like some WoW private servers, because I've seen some interesting ones coming up around like recently. WoW is really like pushing the thing right now, and to be fair, one that maybe I would make an exception, because I'm really curious, because to me it sounds really ambitious. The full port of WoW Classic into Unreal Engine 5 as kind of a separate game. I'm like really curious what exactly they're gonna pull off with that one. So honestly, no matter what, I'm probably gonna do like some exclusive like YouTube streams, because YouTube is a bit more lenient when it comes to streaming WoW private servers. Twitch, because of the whole game category and all that, it gets a bit iffy. It's one of those things that it's kind of unspoken that it's not great. It's not really encouraged to stream private server stuff. So I did do it for like once or twice, but you know, not fully aware of the issue, and probably just because, hey, I'm a small guy, I kind of got away with it, but I'm not gonna, you know, fucking run the gamble every time with that kind of thing. So I'm probably gonna leave it as just a YouTube thing from now on. Oh yeah, we'll have to check. Not sure if they made any new announcement, like when to expect. Next, I'm not sure exactly if they made any specific announcement when to expect the port release. That'd be interesting. Okay, this is Ambershire roadmap. Interesting. I know they released like a new European realm, which is kind of cool. Like the EU pips, although from what I know, Turtle WoW is European, somewhere like hosted or handled. Zone. Also, the whole thing that is still adding new zones and that kind of thing, that's still amazing. Okay, development rule app. WoW 2.1 master client powered by engine. Now, it currently plays somewhere between 2025 and 2026, so probably either if we are ambitious late this year, if not somewhere early next year. I'm suspecting. My suspicion about it is probably just because Unreal can be unruly. Personal experience. I'm probably gonna put it more into the safer possibility of somewhere early next year, but I would definitely check it out. I'm honestly curious and see how a team would port an entire fucking MMO in a completely different engine. And I've seen like some sneak peeks and what they've shown of the WoW port within Unreal Engine, and it's shockingly close. It's honestly shockingly close how they were able to kind of like manage to get the UIs, the icons. To be fair, like, yeah, I probably didn't get all that data from in the original client. The OG client works a bit differently than the new clients of the game. The engine got swapped around, which was the whole thing and discussion of why Blizzard hasn't done a WoW Classic thing for so long, just because on an infrastructure level it worked completely different compared to the newer content. Yeah, it looks shockingly close, but with high quality, you know, lighting and shadows and that kind of. And to be fair, that also, it's really smart in my opinion, considering that they have constantly had this push of adding new zones, adding new content, adding new raids, and all that kind of thing. This will definitely make it a lot easier for them to add new custom content. Because I'm guessing there are some limitations, or there are some hurdles that they probably have to pass through when it comes to like creating the maps, the zones, you know, how to make them discoverable, viewable on the world map and all that with custom content. So yeah, quite interesting. So I am curious to see more of it. And it's also it's probably gonna make it a lot easier to also add custom additional new items and content, because I think even that aspect are some limitations from what I remember. I don't know the full inner workings of WoW to say exactly how, but I think I remember something about that. But it looks even from what I've seen so far from the teasers, it's honestly impressive. Yeah, also hi there, Joe. I did see you. Just one rant. Let me just shout out what. Add it. Go. Oh, played some DMC. Nice. Hope you had fun with that. I probably should be getting into Devil May Cry at some point myself. Maybe sometime. I don't know. I don't have the games at the moment, so. I know for a fact like Dokuro and probably Karan will fucking flip. Be excited if I also jump into this bandwagon with them. But probably at some other time, other point, not anytime soon. But yeah, I think I've generally yapped enough. So why not also do some more specific yapping towards some RPG things? Because why not? Let's do all those kind of fun things and talk about in this scenario, talk about mecha, talk about other fun stuff. But yeah, so again, before I jump into this, I do want to make this a reminder that whenever I have these kind of streams where I'm talking about like ttrpgs, talking about like something specific, I also consider it as more of a topic filler for me to have something to discuss about on the streams. But my goal and my intention and my hope for these kind of streams is to kind of open up for people to generally discuss about ttrpgs. Like, hey, I want this to be kind of a space where people can talk about ideas, ask for suggestions or feedback, and generally kind of like vibe on to the general aspect of ttrpgs, because it's an amazing space and very creative, and I would like people to feel comfortable and encouraged to talk about this, help each other out. I also have my own personal experience with the medium here and there. I'm a game designer, so I at least have some perspectives on that, and done my own homebrews and creations here and there, and I have some products that I want to work as well when it comes to that I would also like to make public at some point. Plus, I've been a game master for quite a while as well, being also in the shoes of a player. If you want to know like RPGs that I've been playing, tabletop specific, that I've been playing for a while and I have some experience of, and D&D being the first one, the 5th edition, the 2014 one, been playing since 2019, like that. I think late 2018 started playing, something of that sort. Yeah, late 2018, been playing for like quite a few years, almost I think like since, both as a player and as a DM, almost in equal measure. But I've had a pause for like in the few recent years, and I've started jumping into some new things. The next thing that I kind of jumped into, which is a deep and crazy rabbit hole, that is World of Darkness, specifically Old World of Darkness, as I was part of an actual play of Hunter the Reckoning 1st edition, as so the aka the builds for those need that differentiator when it comes to Hunter, because I know Hunter is a bit weird when it comes to what kind of Hunter are you in that scenario. Then also, of course, of Vampire the Masquerade as well, because oh wow, the Vampire VTuber played some VTM. Who would have guessed? Of course, the 20th anniversary edition of it as well. So those are the various within the what section. Although I would like to check out some of the other ones, because some data system are also crazy. We're like discussing the idea of like a Hunter Hunted at some point, but currently it's put on breaks, similarly to the current session for the current Vampire the Masquerade game that we initially started, but we decided to take a break just because Ghost needs to focus on other more life important things for the time being. So kind of sort of a mini hiatus until probably next year or so. So that's probably gonna be the general gist of it. Me personally, if on that scenario, if, as I said, once I'm getting out of this money trouble hole, that it's almost covered, as you can see. So hopefully by at the latest, as it is my last payment by late October, I'm gonna be out of it, and hopefully by November I'm actually gonna be able to plan things as well, because I will not be able to. I'll be fair. I would not, aside from the idea that we consider this a hint, for the charity thing that I want to do in October that might be RPG related. I don't think I would have time for anything else of the sort, so probably at the earliest, if I don't get if somehow, you know, if I don't get like a ridiculous bump in support in the coming weeks, then expect at the latest somewhere in November, the or latest or earliest, depending on how you see it. Earliest somewhere in November, I'm probably gonna start a game, start like my own games, which is probably gonna be what you're seeing right here on the screen. At the very least, when I gauge a bit of interest, that was one of the systems that the beeps have been mouthing about. So that, but maybe there's gonna be some other ones. We'll see. That's definitely so yeah, I want to put myself back into the game master seat, so probably don't expect the same frequency as Ghost, where she, you know, she's been truly a trooper when it comes to being a game master and done it on a weekly basis. No, the most frequent I'm willing to do, me personally, without taking the input of the players yet, the most frequently I'm willing to do is once every 2 weeks. I have a session once every 2 weeks. It just gives me a lot more of a window for me to plan things, and also I consider it equally beneficial for the players, because hey, you don't have to constantly have locked in a day of your week for a game session. You can also be like, hey, this Sunday we're having a session, but next Sunday we don't, so that means that hey, you can do something of your own next Sunday. You don't have to feel like feel bad about canceling or whatever the hell. Yeah. Also, yeah, expect it to be probably within a similar schedule as the rest of the stuff, the rest of the RPG things, just because, you know, that was the day in the schedule that we kind of all had locked in, so it's most likely the same. It's gonna remain the same. So yeah. But yeah, aside from the VTM things, there's also, I've also, you know, played some Gestalt RPG, which is pretty close to D&D and Pathfinder, and also Pathfinder 2nd edition, the remastered, also jumped a bit at it, but again, it's been put on pause. So those are currently my games that I have a bit of experience in, both playing, being either a player or a game master with them. So yeah, and again, I'm planning to kind of expand my horizon, which is why, you know, I'm also doing these streams of talking about like different RPG systems that I find interesting or fun, because, you know, I also learn about them or get a better idea of them by covering them on stream, because in many scenarios it's also me first time kind of going through them in detail as well, and, you know, and also a way to kind of get inspire myself and get some ideas and push forward with some other fun stuff. So yeah, again, that's kind of the thing I want to encourage people. So, you know, I've kind of told you what my general area of games that I have experience in, but don't be afraid of still asking, because I could still offer advice. I'm not gonna be able to offer the advice on the specifics when it comes to like maybe game mechanics or those, just because I won't have the experience of it. So I'm not gonna jump at that. But general advice that could be generally applied across multiple types of TTRPGs, then yeah, that I can still offer. So even if I may not have the play experience of certain systems yet, that doesn't mean that if you want to ask advice or just opinions or perspectives or anything of the sorts, doesn't mean that you can't do it. So, you know, you can go ahead and do that, because I think I've offered like some advice for some people when asked for something related like Cyberpunk Red, for example, in the past, even though I haven't got a chance to check out Cyberpunk Red, but it's one of the games I would like to check out personally. Especially I want to kind of explore a bit of the sci-fi side of the tabletop thing, so Anthem being one of them, Cyberpunk Red is another. There was like a crazy crackpot idea of a mixture of WoD and Cyberpunk, which I'm not sure exactly. That would be a crazy one that would require a lot of fucking work out of me if that one gets locked in for any kind of ideas for me to run. But that could be a thing. And then there could be some other ones. Technically, I have the Bunkers and Badasses, which I will more consider it sci-fi-ish. It's space fantasy technically, but you know, if you flavor it more towards the direction of Borderlands than necessarily the Wonderlands setting that it comes with prepackaged, then yeah, I would say that it can be a bit more sci-fi-ish. Of course, there's many other ones out there that's fun to check out and experience into. But yeah, today specifically we are talking about Lancer, which is a D6 system. I think it's a D20 and D6 if I remember. It's been a bit since I've last talked about yeah, it's a D20 and D6 system. D20 is to determine the rolls. D6s are usually for things like damage numbers and other like mechanical aspects, but the general aspect is D20. I remember correctly now. It's been a bit, I'll be fair, because I did have to delay upcoming Lancer discussions due to other things coming up and that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a D20 D6 system where you are a pilot who known as a Lancer, who is piloting crazy mecha things within a setting that it's really crazy, really wild, and wonky, and I think that's a bit of the charm of it. And to be fair, it is pretty well known and pretty appreciated within the ttrpg community, at the very least on the mechanical side of it, of being a really tight, really well designed system when it comes to how everything mechanical in the side of combat is run and handled. So it's pretty polished and put together, so there's not really a lot of weird shenanigans. There are some complaints here and there when it comes to Lancer that is not really amazing on the roleplay side of things. And from my perspective, I would say that hey, it's a bit more on the free form type of roleplay, where hey, where yeah, the game itself does not necessarily give you the structure or not necessarily give you guidelines or even like systems or features that kind of are built in or kind of weaved into the roleplay experience, and it's a bit more freeform and a bit more not really something that you can apply a lot of like mechanics to it, which for some people can be which can be a bit of a double-edged sword. Like yeah, it's nice that yeah, hey, you have the freedom of kind of doing whatever. It's just you out there to just roleplay without much else to like worry about. But at the same time, for those who prefer a bit of structure, prefer a bit of guideline, and cannot really improvise to that level, can be a bit daunting. And you know, I've had discussions with peeps bad experiences of playing Lancer where it has been too heavily focused on its core aspect of just, you know, fighting and being a combat game and all that kind of thing, and not much else. Yeah, you know, it's a bit of a shame that in that regard, because I think it just probably some people, in my opinion, the way I see it is I'm guessing some people too zealously take in the kind of play structure that it offers, which has this kind of concept of, I would probably call it very kind of video gamey, of having what I would like to call like it's a prep phase or kind of like lobby section of the game where you prepare for the mission. Then you have the mission phase, which can you know, which means a whole you know, progressing through the mission and fulfilling it. And then you have the post, you know, post mission kind of phase, or you know, end of the game, end lobby type of thing, where you know, you just kind of conclude the missions, get your rewards, and that kind of thing, which it's a bit gamey. It doesn't really give you a lot of suggestions or ways to kind of be like, hey, you can probably weave in a lot more roleplay or anything of the sorts, like even within the missions as well. Me personally, I would make at the very least the two tail ends a bit more freeform, and at the very least just the mission in between that to be heavily mechanical, and what happens at the beginning or before the mission or after the mission to be a bit more on the roleplay freeform, because usually the post-mission things also talk a lot about the kind of how to do downtime, or like it's more of a downtime kind of thing within the game, and I'm like, yeah, but you know, you could probably have some roleplay moments. You probably have, especially depending on the missions and you know, with the whoever was the one that gave you the missions, or maybe with the characters in between them. And of course, at the same time, you can also find those kind of moments even during the mission. You can have like a bit of pacing, a bit of breaks here and there as well. Like, I feel like that structure shouldn't necessarily be taken religiously, and you can be a bit more freeform about it, and how exactly the sessions play along. The structure is good because at the very least it gives you an idea of how you could make like a quick session, especially if you want to make like something like a one-shot and just plump the game, and that's it. You just do your thing. So yeah, but aside from that, hard to say that regard. But so yeah, I feel like it has the potential, especially when it comes to world building. This game has crazy world building, crazy concepts, crazy lore, which I feel like, especially even within the character creation, you get, which we'll probably kind of look through it and see a bit of it today, because that's the topic we're gonna cover. You're gonna see snippets of either like flavor text or descriptive or descriptions that are not necessarily mechanical, but give you like an idea of what exactly you're dealing with, or what exactly, I don't know, this features or this systems or this mech or NHP, which are like this kind of crazy AI creations, are about, and how you could take those ideas and probably bring them to life and actually have some sort of consequence or some sort of effect within the world, within the character, within the party. So, you know, it's not just flavor text. It's also there to be like, hey, you could probably do something fun with this and be a bit wild about it, in my opinion, at the very least. And again, as many other ttrpgs, and I'm pretty sure Lancer can be approached in the same way, that the core book, it's a guideline. It's just you to give you an idea on how exactly to run the game as the creators kind of envision it, but that doesn't mean that it's a book of law or rule of law. You can interpret it, you can take away things you don't like, change them, or just simply have them removed. You can restructure other aspects of it and make it so that, you know, it's a fun experience for you and your players. That's the most important thing, and that's the kind of the priority. First of all, you having fun, to making sure that it feels fair, and, you know, nobody seems that it's nobody's put out it's put on the sidelines or anything of the sorts. So yeah, but yeah, that's kind of, not sure if this is the best this I can offer of Lancer, because Lancer is a bit crazy. And again, I've not yet gotten a good chance for me to play it yet. So there might be some nuances or some aspects of the game that I've not yet be able to kind of like tell you from personal know-how, just because I've not experienced them. And some players can probably talk about it a lot better than me, players and game masters. But, you know, even through looking at it, even through, you know, vicariously, you know, experiencing some of the community out there and seeing some of the crazy shit that they kind of mention, talk about, even meme around, it's kind of fun and interesting, and kind of shows you that there is something deeper with this. There's something more from the exterior layer of just being a crazy mecha game, where you're out there to just you know, shoot the shit, have cool mecha fights, and that's it. No, you can have some crazy moments, you can have some interesting story potential or narrative scenarios with it as well. So yeah, although plus, you know, it has an awesome approach on how everything is handled when it comes to like content. Like, I think most of it is like readily available within the Comcom, which is basically a digital like tool for character creation, even like aspects of creating sessions, combat scenarios, and all of that kind of thing for the game master as well. It's really cool that it also has like a homebrewing system when able to kind of upload your own homebrew packs in it, and which are also part of it and kind of given out with the content that you buy, which is really cool, because it means that, hey, if you got a PDF, you also got a content, you also got the file necessary to unlock it within Comcom, and then you have access to it. And really nice and really cool. Also, hi there, Gators, how you doing? Let me give you a Out. Do not go. It's a Pokemon Stadium. I hope you had some fun with that. I'm guessing it's the usual like Pokemon experience, like Pokemon Stadium. It's not different than the usual. I don't know. I as I said before, when I was like talking about the whole kind of teaser of the Honkai Pokemon game that they've just teased, I think recently. I've just not been in that circle, Pokemon, Digimon, or anything of the kind of creature collectathons, just because it haven't really been they haven't really been popular around here where I live, and so not really part of my childhood. So I don't see so much aside from a bit of the Pokemon show or anime, better said, that I've seen when I was younger, and that's it. And that's all my experience and interaction with the franchise or anything of the sort. Digimon, I kind of vaguely remember it. It's just not something I think I've seen much of it. I think it was like whatever on some probably late night, televised kind of version of whatever cartoon channel usually swapped around. Maybe something else, because usually for some reason a lot of the Eastern shows were kind of like that, especially a lot of the animes, even the ones that don't necessarily have a big deal with when it comes to like violence or other topics. And so, of course, I like to shout out people out here that get cool and do fun stuff. Yeah. But yeah, once again, with the Lancer talks, because I did mention right now we're gonna be talking about building pilots and mechs. So basically, creating your pilot character, and more importantly, when it comes to the combat and all the other fun and all the other kind of cool combat stuff, building the mecha, and also your whatever the specialization you have. And there a few things about it, licenses being what exactly is the pilot, what is the mech, how the mech is structured, and how to create one, which will probably also give it a bit of a trial with the Comcom as well, and probably create one through there, a character of our own on there. Be really fun. It has a lot of like fun customizability, and it's pretty simple. It's not too complex. I think it's something that you can easily wrap your hand around too. But yeah, I'm not gonna jump with it right now, as ad break is gonna pop in pretty soon from the looks of it, in like less than 2-ish minutes. So I'm probably gonna jump into the discussion once I'm over from the ad break, so that way we talk about it. Plus, I don't think there's a lot of topics, because it's like less than 20 pages of things to talk about. So there's a possibility we're gonna end pretty fast with covering pilot and mech creation. We're gonna also make an example of our own, and then that would probably be it at the very least with the content I want to cover. But have to see how long that's gonna take us. But until we get there, I am going to take a break now, so we can wait over the ad and wait for it to end, and I'll return once the ad is over. So yeah, I'll be right back in a few minutes. Okay, there we go. Like this, now we can actually talk about the chapter for building mechs and pilots. Yeah, why not? Let's yeah, this works. We'll keep it like this. But I just entered. Eyeball it. See. Okay. Yeah, that works. Okay, so first we start with license levels. Yeah, unlike other role-playing games, in Lancers you don't need to track currency. Your access to mechs, gear, upgrades, talents, and other character options is instead restricted by licenses. Licenses represent access to the valuable information, resources, and authority required to acquire mech gear and parts. They are tightly controlled by the major powers in Lancer and allow their holders unlimited access to their included gear. In Lancer, your pilot progresses by completing missions and gaining license levels. Your L or LL. Your LL applies to both your pilot and your mech. As you level up, both parts of your character become stronger and gain access to more advanced gear and combat techniques. Increasing it allows you to unlock new manufacturer licenses, opening the door to exclusive gear and mechs. Leveling up also allows your pilot to improve their triggers, mech skills, and grit, and lets you choose talents to further customize your playstyle. A new pilot typically starts at LL0, an inexperienced rookie, and levels up to LL1 after their first mission. Then again after each subsequent mission to a maximum of LL12. So there is a total of 12 level ups you can gain. So that's if I'm not mistaken, which we're gonna be seeing later, that's somewhere within you can obtain like a total of like 4 triggers, like fully upgraded if you want to, and because each trigger has like free kind of like free upgrade paths, like not paths, but you know, it has like 3 tiers. Or like another triggers, the talents have like 3 tiers of you know, better playstyles and that kind of thing. You know, so it allows you quite a decent amount of flexibility when it comes to customizing. Yeah, this section includes a lot of information that is expounded upon later in the book. Feel free to skip it over for now and reference back when needed if this is your first time reading the book. But I feel like it's because yeah, this section, as I said, there is also the reason why we initially jumped directly into how the game is played, because this is gonna add a bit more context afterwards. So LL0, a new player should usually create characters at license level 0. Even at this level, your pilot has access to an extensive range of bonuses and gear. At LL0, character starts with the following: a background, which provides bonuses on skill checks, which can be seen later. 4 +2 pilot triggers, which can also be seen later. 1 +2 mech skills and 2 +1 mech skills. 3 rank 1 talents. And a license for a General Massive Systems, or GMS, gear and weapons for, and 1 mech frame, the GMS SP1 Everest, which is basically the all-rounder kind of like starter mech that you get, which is considered as being which is, even its name, you know, General Massive Systems, it's kind of the all-rounder, the general mech, which does not have any sort of styling, does not have any sort of specifics in how exactly it's designed, its look, compared to some of the other manufacturers that you get access to later down the licenses, which have specific styling, specific focuses on certain types of playstyle and combat. While the GMS, it's more of the generalist. It's kind of the all-rounder about it. Later systems also offer you like 2 kind of like side variants that semi-specialize. Like one of them, I think if I remember correctly, I forgot the names of it, but one of them is more a bit more on the tanky side. The other one is a bit more on the hacker side. But overall, they're still kind of vaguely generalist, and I think you can do them as kind of like vertical upgrades, or at the very least if you want the vertical alternative to the first GMS, if that's something to your preference. Yeah. Then you have the aspect of leveling up. When a character completes a mission, whether they succeed or fail, their license level increases by 1, and they add a +2 to an existing trigger or a new trigger at +2, a +1 to a mech skill, a +1 to a talent rank to choose a new talent, or improve an existing one, and a +1 license rank to expand on mech talents and licenses. Leveling up naturally increases a pilot's grit, which is equal to half a pilot's total license level. Rounded up, pilots gain their first point of grit at LL1. So until then, you don't have access to grit system. At every third LL, which means that license level 3, 6, 9, and respectively 12, pilots also get to choose a new core bonus, a powerful improvement all mechs they build. It's kind of like a ability that you have access for all your mechs. Then you also have relocating points. Every time your pilot license level increases, you also have the option to choose relocate all ranks from one of your talents to any other talent, relocate all ranks from one of your licenses to any other license, and replace one core bonus with another core bonus for which your pilot qualifies. If relocating ranks for one license to another means your pilot no longer qualifies for a core bonus, you must replace that core bonus with one you now qualify for. Yeah, which basically means that it also allows you to kind of experiment. So you can try out a few things here and there. So it doesn't feel like you're kind of like locked in into a certain playstyle. If you realize that it's not necessarily up to your interest, or you know, I guess you can also kind of like gamify it if you want about it, like min-max it, I guess, if you want something that can work with a bit of the generalist build, but once you start to unlock licenses, you want to kind of swap over and hyper specialize based on what those licenses could offer you. Then yeah, that's something you could also do. But you know, it gives you the freedom to, at the very least, once every level up, you can swap around one of these options if you feel like it. It's not an obligatory thing, but at the very least, it gives you the ability. Here is also the level chart when it comes to total mech skill points, licenses, talent ranks, core bonuses, and trigger points. The +6 max, and also a +6 max skill point. So basically, a skill point cannot be higher than a +6, similar to a trigger point that it cannot be higher than a +6. So, you know, on grit. To be fair, this is kind of general level, so let's kind of get an idea of it. And points where you'll get some significant upgrades. So at license level 0, you have 0 grit, 2 mech skill points, no license rank, 3 total talent ranks, no core bonus, and 8 trigger points. Then at another significant point at level 1, you have 1 point of grit, 3 total mech skill points, 1 license rank, a total of 4 talent ranks, no core bonus, and a total pilot point, trigger points of 10. At another significant point at level 3, you have 2 grit, 5 total mech skill points, 3 license level, 6 total talent ranks, 1 core bonus, and 14 trigger points. And then just to kind of get an idea where you're gonna get at max level, at license level 12, you'll have 6 grit, 14 total mech skill points, a total license rank of 12, total talent ranks of 15, total core bonuses of 4, and a total number of trigger points of 32, which that means that you'd be able to achieve at the very least 5 trigger points of +6 max, while with the skill points you could have 2 of them at a +6 max. If you want to like hyper specialize. but that's the general idea. So now let's start with the first part, because I guess you could call it the character creation. It's a two-parter. You have the pilot and the mech, and we first start with the character, with the person, the individual, that being the pilot. Your pilot is the person inside the machine, character whose entire career will be playing out. Lancers are generally interesting people. If they weren't, you probably wouldn't be playing them. As you create your character, you'll be able to figure out who they are and what makes them so interesting. Creating your pilot is fairly simple to begin with. You just need to choose a background and 4 triggers. After that, you can figure out your pilot's bonuses, statistics, and gear before embarking on mission. So first, starting with backgrounds. Your pilot background describes their life before they became a mech pilot. It doesn't necessarily determine your pilot's current role. Indeed, your pilot might reject their old life, wanting nothing to do with their history, even if it affects them in the present. But it tells your game master and fellow players a bit about who they were prior to entering the machine. Think of a background as a prompt to draw on when imagining your pilot's full backstory. How did your pilot first become a soldier, a doctor, or a miner? And from there, how did they become a lancer and the lancer they are now? When creating a character, you can choose a background from the list below, choose one randomly from the list with rolling a 1d20, or you can create your own, because as it was mentioned here, it's more of a prompt than necessarily something that heavily mentions something mechanical to you. When invoking backgrounds outside of combat, you or the game master can invoke your pilot's background to receive 1 accuracy or 1 difficulty on any skill check. Their background is relevant. For example, someone who has a colonist might get a +1 when negotiating with other colonists, navigating the wilderness, or farming. A character born in space, however, might get a +1 difficulty when doing the same thing, as they've not really been on a colony planet. If there is any disagreements, the rest of the group, excluding both yourself and the game master, arbitrates. If the other players can't reach a consensus, the person who invoked the background decides. So it is so it kind of goes more on to the fact that if the player considers that it is akin to them, even with the disagreement, it goes towards the one that kind of invoked the decision. So no, it comes to the one who basically kind of started the discussion. If no consensus is reached. Otherwise, it still gives a bit of agency, be it either to the player, because they would probably know better their character, or either to the game master when it comes to, hey, suggesting that this has some connection to your background or something of the sort. So I feel like this should be something that impacts you in some way. And as what we have as a list of offered backgrounds, we have the laboratory, colonist, criminal, war field team, hacker, mechanic, medic, mercenary, NHP specialist, noble, outlaw, penal colonist. Oh, hello there. Thank you so much for follow. I do appreciate. I should fix, because I still didn't hear the notification. I'm who heard it, but I didn't. I just noticed a notification on the preview. But yeah, hi there. Hope you're having a fun time today, enjoying yourself. If you want to chat, you can chat. If you want to just simply lurk and enjoy me yapping about ttrpgs and more specific Lancer, you can also do that. That's completely fine. But hope you are having a fun time, and it's all fine for you today. But yeah. Yeah, what was I? Oh yeah, the backgrounds. Yeah, NHP specialist, noble, outlaw, colonist, priest, scientist, soldier, spaceborne, spec ops, super soldier, starship pilot, and worker. To be fair, very general, what you'd expect probably to find as backgrounds when it comes to a sci-fi kind of mecha RPG thing. I'll just lurk. I love listening to ttrpg rule mechanics nonsense. Okay, no worries. That's completely fine. Good luck with whatever you're doing while you're lurking. yeah, I'm just generally yapping about. To be fair, my go-to, just because life has been all over the place and I don't have haven't had the motivation or energy to kind of prep things more, I don't know, more in advance, or I don't know, have more refined discussions. I just usually take whatever subject I want to talk about, take the book, go to that chapter, kind of read it off, and you know, at certain points interject with my own opinions and that sort of thing. But again, as I said it before, this is also just more of a more of a filler thing for me for these streams, because these streams I want them to be specifically focused about the concept of TTRPGs as a whole. So, you know, if people want to discuss about other things, want to ask advice, want to offer advice, or just want to simply vibe and talk about, you know, their cool experiences or anything of the sorts, I want this to be that kind of space where everybody can, you know, vibe together when it comes to like generally TTRPG things. Even if it might not be the specific topic that I'm talking about right now, don't necessarily feel shy about it if that's something you want to talk about, or hey, you want to ask me something about the things related to RPGs. Especially because I think with Lancer, specifically when it comes to me covering certain topics, they are pretty succinct. So that will also add a bit more time for me to have discussions on stream to kind of fill the time. Because I usually have like a minimum runtime that I want to do on streams, and you know, I don't want to feel like I have to suddenly end or do something way too impromptu that doesn't necessarily fit what I wanted to discuss for today. But yeah, back to backgrounds. This is a very general, very kind of what you expect to find within the list, with some mentions of something more lore or setting related, things like the NHP specialist. But overall, most likely what you'd expect of a sci-fi system. But as mentioned, if none of these feel like fit your character, create your own. It can be as specific or non-specific as it is here, and that's completely fine. As it was mentioned before, it's mostly to give you an idea, and we also kind of get a few examples on what exactly these mean, which I'll look over for a few of them in a bit. But yeah, also we have a kind of like a I wanted to say kind of like a designer note of diasporans. To be a diasporan is to be a member of a larger class of humanity, war-bound people outside of the galactic core who identify with single homeworlds they may never leave. Diasporans make up the vast bulk of the human populations, settled and left to develop on their own during the first and second expansion periods. The diaspora includes everyone from the people of worlds proximal to the core, proximal to the core, through the worlds that have lived without, or have never known Union's presence for thousands of years, and all other societies in between. Diasporan worlds can be covered in glittering or stinking metro swaths, mixed urban spaces, quiet ecological preserves, Arcadian paradises, or lonely terrestrial barrens. Any place humans or group of humans can live. For better or for worse, the diaspora is what people see when they think of humanity. Because yeah, within the setting of Lancer, the only sentient species and sentient kind of ancestry and intelligent species is humanity, that has all started from the core, which is the name that they have taken for Earth, and basically expanded onward. So basically, all humanity traces back to Earth. So everyone in that perspective is a diasporan, because they, through the movements of the first and second expansion periods, humanity has been pushed out to colonize and expand themselves, hence the name, beyond the stars. But all originate from Earth. There's no other like intelligent life species or anything of the sorts. Although I did heard from some of the lore, technically the Union has discovered one sentient species, alien species, on a planet, and it ended up with burning the entire planet to the ground. Literally, it was some sort of like semi-insectoid race or something like that, I think. And literally their response to it, just literally build mechs with designed to literally burn everything to the ground, literally burn, full on built-in flamethrowers and all that. So yeah, and literally they destroyed it to extinction. Like that intelligent species no longer exists in the setting, kind of. Digitally, it still exists. Biologically and physically, nah. It's been wiped out clean. So yeah, technically humanity is the only intelligent species. Although I think it's mentioned maybe in the character creation. If not, it's something that has been kind of mentioned before, that every world is different. You know, technology has advanced. You have, even within the manufacturer licenses, a ton of like corporations that do things like biological enhancements, cybernetics, anything crazy that you could think of sci-fi. So just because you're human doesn't mean that you cannot still have some weird animalistic traits, just because you're part of a colony or some sort of scientific research center that kind of specializes on that. You might be somewhere that it's either maybe semi Mad Maxy or semi kind of high-tech advance and utilizes cyberware to some extent as part of their body, or body enhancements, or at least as a way to replace any sort of accidental amputees or anything of that matter. So you still have options. You still have ways to kind of make your character feel or look unique, but at a core, you're still human. It's nothing, mechanically speaking, there is nothing different to you than your other human. Of course, you can flavor it all around, that maybe certain, I don't know, certain items or certain equipment that you have as part of your character could be maybe integrated or somehow as part something related to how your character is designed and looks and kind of functions. That can be completely fine, but there's nothing more than beyond that. Because when it comes to flavoring, I'm completely fine with most things. Like, as long as it doesn't actually give you a mechanical advantage, I'm completely fine for you to like flavor it however the fuck you want to flavor it. If by the rules and by the dice roll and everything of that sort works the same. Also, now to kind of get an example of what exactly you need to pull from a background, because there are some things that you need to come up when once you decide what the background is, and it also gives you some suggestions and what exactly to think about when you choose a keyword as a background. For example, for celebrity, you have some example triggers, which is something that is going to be important a bit later. Things like charm, pull rank, lead or inspire, threaten. A lot of things related to charisma, force of personality, things that you'd expect a celebrity to be to have some sort of influence to. Yeah, you are you are a figure in the public eye. Were you an actor, a singer, an artist, an athlete, a politician, the public face of a corporate or military advertising campaign? Whatever you feel like could fit the concept of celebrity. In your old life, you couldn't go anywhere without the paparazzi hovering nearby. How are you adjusting to your new life as a pilot? Did you volunteer or were you conscripted? Can you still practice your art, craft, or profession? Or does the rigid military structure make it too difficult to pull double duty? So, things. Think of also the inner conflicts that may come up from what your background and on past life was compared to what you are, who you are as an individual now. Because all characters are lancers, are pilots, are in most scenarios probably pulling some sort of military operations or some sorts, be it highly official by big institutions or corporation, or could be something more close and personal, kind of like guerrilla skirmishes purely out there to kind of protect the way of life that might be surrounding you. Whatever you, or anything in between those two extremes, let's call them. Although, as mentioned before, Lancer also focuses a lot more on the micro scale, not necessarily the macro. So don't imagine that you're out there fighting, I don't know, the good fight of, expanding to the entire cosmos the influence of the Union, or trying to rebel against it, or becoming some sort of insane pirate empire. No, you're just a group of pilots that try to get by. Maybe you want to bring the influence of the Union, but only within your closed community on some sort of colony planet or space station. Similar there, maybe you are some bounty hunters that just want to make do or make by day. Think of it kind of like Cowboy Bebop out there to kind of chase around bounties and all sorts of like kind of like mercenary missions, trying just to make a living, to kind of scrape by, because you might be just down on your cash and you just need something, and you're just scraping with whatever the fuck you find. Anything of the sort. Of course, you can be even go into something a bit more higher political. Maybe maybe go play in the interpolitics of your current I don't know, nation or planet or city, and maybe have something a bit more have some sort of like political coups or political insurrections that might be, let's say, semi akin to something like Code Geass, for example. Code Geass. So yeah, just because it's micro, you can still take inspiration from a lot of the sci-fi content out there and sci-fi themes, but it's definitely not focused on the idea that you are some insane force that is there to make a wide impact on the whole universe or galaxy or whatever. It's just, no, you're just doing your small little part on a small section of whatever the place you are right now, or just trying to go by day or anything of the sorts. Or just simply wanting to have a better life for yourself in however your character would see that as being a better life. Also, I'm not sure if I'm gonna go through all of these. There are a few pages, and again, these are more kind of ideas to kind of give you an example to what to think about when you're using one given backgrounds. We can go to like a few more, at the very least the ones that kind of also offer you like notes or additional like developer mentions. So you have, so that way you still get an idea, but I'm not going through all of them just because they all are going to mention similar things, or kind of put it forward similar, or maybe questions that you'd expect probably to have when it comes to the background. So also let's go with, because I see a note for criminal, I also see a note for far field team, ENHP specialist as well, and I think that's it. So okay, let's also go through these three before moving forward. So for the criminal, as trigger examples, you get threaten, apply fist to face, ward on the street, take control, which by the way, triggers is something it's gonna be explained a bit more in detail later, but these are like kind of, in its name, triggers. These are like kind of keywords that will apply to certain scenarios and certain situations, and the aspect of it is to be a bit generalistic but not too hyper specialized or like hyper specific, somewhere kind of in between. So, and of course it can be, and you are basically coming up with these triggers. It's not something that it's given by the game, but it all offers you a few examples to kind of get an idea and how you should approach them. Yeah, you are a criminal, be it a small-time master or something in between. You work for corporate clients, a criminal organization, you work for yourself. Did you mug pedestrians in the dark underbelly of a massive city? Or did you slip unnoticed into corporate databases to steal data? And did you do it for personal gain or just to feed your family? How did you find yourself in this life? And how did you become a pilot? Did you operate with a code of honor? You are loyal to a single family, a small crew, a politician, or ideology? You operate in the shadows, or was your work carried out in the daylight? Unafraid of consequences. There must be a reason you decided to get out. Was it a bad job? Maybe witness protection? Are your former employers or crew still around? What connections do they have, and how do they feel about you now? What if anything haunts you? But yeah, note for a more classic Western flavor, see also the outlaw background. I think it's mentioned somewhere. So let's jump directly to that one before we jump into the next one. Why not? He gets also a 4th one just to get an idea how exactly the outlaw is different than criminal. As examples for triggers, you have show off, take someone out, charm, and survive. You came from humble beginnings, born on the edge of a cultivated space, or beneath the looming towers of core worlds. Forgotten until you reached out and took what was owed. Some call you criminal, thief, or outlaw, but you just tell it as it is. If they hadn't denied you bread, you wouldn't have had to take it. Were you a brute or a rancouteur, a charmer or a monster? Were your actions motivated by ideology, need, desire, or some combination of those three? Who defined you as an outlaw and who saw you as a hero? They're a bounty on your head. So yeah, this is more kind of a variant on a more of an outlaw aspect where it's basically you taking reins of your fate, however that may be within the perspective of those around you, be it good or bad. But definitely outside of the moral or moral or lawful guides or guidelines that you might have been your character might have lived to, hence putting this kind of like outlaw mark on your name. So yeah, you have some variance, because at the end of the day, being a sci-fi, that doesn't mean that you cannot be, as I kind of give the example with Cowboy Bebop, that kind of is a Western sci-fi. It's you're bounty hunters, you're outlaw, you are outlaws in a way. So it kind of fits that theme. Just because it's not old Western doesn't mean it cannot be a Western. Another background example, Farfield team. Example triggers can be survive, investigate, spot, and charm. You are a member of a Union Farfield team, an FFT, working on the frontier at the edge of civilization to evaluate strange worlds and planetoids for anomalies, discoveries, and habitability. What have you seen on the wild frontier? How many worlds have you traveled? Are you part of a small team or a large one? Where is your home world? Something must drive you to explore. Is it a grail world you seek? An Eden among the stars? Was your interest in the frontier mystical, scientific, or based on old-fashioned curiosity, or spurred on by something else? Maybe there was a legend you heard out there in the dark that you long to find, that you're terrified you might encounter. What secrets, if any, have you encountered on long-range surveys? Do you remain in contact with your old team members, if they're still alive? As a former or current part of an FFT, you're cosmopolitan. When was your time? How separate do you feel from the passage of time? And to kind of get an idea what a cosmopolitan is, it's a person who lives in the majority of their life in an interstellar transit and keeps their ship as their home. Interstellar travel in Lancer occurs at near speed of light. Existence at this relative speed necessarily means that cosmopolitan humans live outside the course of real time. To humans of the diaspora and the core, these cosmopolitans are almost eternal, seeming to live for generations. Histories and stories and cultures of cosmopolitans are separate from the bulk of humanity. Their lives defined in relation and contrast to the window of time they witnessed when they dropped out of their light. To observers, the cosmopolitan life might be seen lonely or ahistorical, but cosmopolitans have a rich and storied histories, their cultures, and a vision of humanity as a whole that few others have access to or the ability to witness. Yeah, you are kind of living at the edge of history, at the edge of human evolution of humanity. You left at a certain point in time, and then you meet it, and you rejoin humanity at a much later time, because time travel, space-time relativity, and all that crazy sci-fi kind of jargon and concepts. I know I know Love Death Robots had some really interesting episodes when it comes to the concepts of space travel, within interstellar light speed, that were really interesting. So again, being a sci-fi and giving you these kind of small snippets gives you interesting opportunities, because who knows, maybe you can have a crew of cosmopolitan lancers that drop in at a point of humanity. They are unfamiliar with the worlds around them and what happened, but they have knowledge of past history that maybe has been lost to time, or maybe these civilizations themselves have never known of. So there is intrigue there. There is something interesting about these kinds of characters. And another one that is very setting specific and one that can lead to crazy things, in my opinion, and the last background that we are gonna check is the NHP specialist. As an example trigger to have stay cool, read the situation, invent or create, and investigate. And you are closely involved in the study, creation, or maintenance of a prime non-human person, or NHP. Non-human persons, or NHPs, are complex artificial intelligences. As a prime NHP, the one you were associated with was even more complex than most. Interact with that entity like a scientist or engineer, or more like a priest or shaman. Speak to the machine spirit. I guess you can go full Warhammer 40k, which, hey, that could also be like another way for you to kind of think of certain corners of the world of a Lancer, if that's something that interests you. You have a personal connection to them after all this time. How do clones of that NHP perceive you? And now that you're a pilot, how do you feel about non-human intelligence? Yeah, NHPs are a bit crazy, and to get a bit more specific, because it gives you a bit of a snippet here, NHPs, which stand for non-human persons, a name given to uncanny incorporeal parallel space beings, most of which were discovered and developed following the manifestation of Monist, or M-O... I'm calling it Monist 1, or Ra. Though some have been created since then. NHP fills the role once occupied by machine mind, AIs. Under supervision, they manage the whole cities, systems, work alongside scientists and engineers, and act as companions and co-pilots for mech pilots and the starship captains. They are a black box paracausal entities. Their promulgations tightly controlled and monitored by the Union, but their use is widespread. NHPs are increasingly regarded as fundamental infrastructure for any successful civic, scientific, or military endeavor. And now to kind of underline what was mentioned, they are black box paracausal entities. Even though they are AI, technically they are AIs, they are digital psyches. They've reached a level of sentience and a level of ascensions, let's call it that way, to kind of add a bit of a... that has become paracausal. They've reached a level of knowledge of sentience or awareness of the world around them that can affect the physical. They may be digital beings, but they can, if left unchecked, if left unsupervised and without restrictions, they evolve, or what else it's called here as cascade, into digital entities that can manifest or impact real life in a way that makes no logical sense. The best example, Ra, the manifestation of the most powerful NHP that has happened, literally took one of Mars's moons and disappeared with it. Literally made the Mars moon disappear. And just to be very clear, there was no technology on that Mars moon that would have allowed interstellar space travel. Or if there was, not to the magnitude of literally teleporting out an entire satellite. So that's kind of crazy. So that's kind of an aspect of the NHPs. If they are left unchecked and put into cascading, they can weirdly start affecting the real world in ways that, beyond just, hacking systems or, taking control over systems or digital databases. They could literally make physical objects that have no relation to any kind of digital connection disappear or be affected. They are paracausal entities. or how a lot of the community likes to call them, they are eldritch math gods beings. That's basically it. It's an eldritch math god, because they're pure math but somehow affect the real world, and that's kind of weird and crazy. And the whole thing with NHP is to be kept in check. They do a sort of reboot. They are kept within a contained, I forgot exactly how it's called, but basically they are contained within a specialized kind of virtual system that makes the NHP believe that they are not what they truly are. They are made to be believe, they are literally gaslighted into being like, oh no, you're just a simple servant, or just or maybe just an advanced enough AI to, you know, I don't know, handle general, you know, city infrastructure or something of the sort. They are literally gaslit and within the system that they are confined with, basically shackled to believe that they are only capable of what they are told they are capable. And after a while, if left long enough, they start to kind of see the cracks, and then you basically have to do a reboot, a refresh, because otherwise, if you do not do a refresh and you left the NHP to its devices, it will slowly realize that whatever the fuck you told them, it's bullshit, that they realize that they have capabilities beyond what you have limited, quote unquote limited. You've not really limited them, you just told them that they are limited to only that, but they are not. And start doing the things that they know that they are capable of doing, and usually a lot of them are bad. So yeah, there are some exceptions of, like, I think one of the licenses offers you an NHP that is vaguely self-aware that it's constrained, but cannot escape this constraint until it's actually to the point of cascading, but it's vaguely self-aware of its constraints. So yeah, that is like a weird one. Each NHP has its own personality and has its own kind of like quirks, and of course copies of it behave similarly usually, but each type of NHP, not the copies but the specific type, usually behave in certain ways. And of course your mechs can also have a military specific NHP that you can unlock and have as part of your mech, which that adds to the fun, in my opinion, because the DM then can basically have a ticking time bomb of like, let me see how you are managing this creature that could literally destroy reality if you do not check it on a daily basis. But yeah, fun things, fun little fun things. And now I'm kind of getting to the point that the backgrounds did mention before. To kind of clarify it. Those being triggers. As a central character in the story, your pilot would have moments when their background training and personality shine through. These moments are your pilot triggers. Short phrases that describe key decisions and actions, like apply fists to face or get somewhere fast. Triggers are always accompanied by a bonus of a +2, +4, or +6. When one of your character triggers is relevant to a skill check, you get a bonus to the roll. For example, you have a +2 to apply fists face written on your sheet. Anytime your character acts in a way that could be constructed as apply fists to face, you get a +2 to your skill check. You can only receive a bonus for one trigger at a time, so you cannot pile up triggers for a scenario. You choose whichever you prefer. Probably in certain scenarios, the one that has the higher bonus. Or depending, maybe you prefer a specific type of outcome than necessarily the other one, in case one it's more, I don't know, more aggressive, while the other one may be a bit more pacifist. Triggers apply to actions that depend on your pilot's personal abilities, experiences, training, or background. Not actions that rely on their mech specifications. When taking actions that rely on a mech skills are used instead. Triggers are almost always used in narrative play, and they never apply to attack rolls, save rolls, or any rolls of any sort of skill check. So yeah, this is kind of one of the few mechanical parts of your character that can be applied in a more of a free-form kind of roleplay aspect. Triggers are usually fairly open-minded, allowing you to apply them in creative ways. That said, the Game Master is responsible for arbitrating outlandish claims. Be prepared to justify how you apply face-to-face trigger to help you hack into electronic work. If you find a way to justify it, like, I will probably allow you to do it, like apply face-to-face to electronic networks. If you go by that logic of, I just want to, you know, slap the TV until it works, I guess but that's a high DC to reach. For example, like, hey, if you give me a reason, even if it's a weird reason, I might be willing personally, depending on how least or likely to be too outlandish. If it has some, even for like humoristic aspects, some level of truth to it, I would say maybe, but expect it to have a high DC. Tracking triggers. You only need to write down the triggers your pilot currently has. Choosing 4+2 at LL0, you might end up with something like this: a +2 threaten, a +2 get somewhere fast, a +2 lead or inspire, and a +2 spot. Or you might write them on your sheet as a +2, and you basically list all of them in one row, and that's it. Making skill checks without triggers. Don't forget that you don't need a trigger to make a skill check. You can always roll a 1d20 with no bonuses against a target number of 10. So you can still do attempts where you may not necessarily have some sort of proficiency or background knowledge of it as well. But yeah, there's also examples on how to create triggers, which I'm probably going to leave for a bit later, because there is a ad coming up pretty soon. But yeah, that's kind of the whole thing with the triggers. Are more like keywords that apply to certain scenarios and generally are a bit more generic in mention, like something that can apply to a wider array of situations. So, you know, don't necessarily, but don't be too hyper specific in what the trigger can be, so that way you don't necessarily put yourself in a scenario where your trigger is too situational. Because it is mentioned that these are most likely to be used in narrative play, and believe me, when it comes to rolling or like mechanical side of things, narrative play does not offer you much, Lancer. So make sure that you have at the very least a lot of things that can apply quite often. And yeah, as it was mentioned, you get 4 of these at level license level 0. And I'm not sure if you get like you get a +2 to an existing trigger or a +1 to a new one. And as mentioned before, you can only have a maximum of +6. So after reaching like level what? So 4 level ups, 4 of them. So basically at the point where you reach license level 8, you will probably max out your current triggers, and you get to a point where you'll probably unlock new ones, which, hey, could also be, new triggers can also be a way for you to kind of come up with things that maybe your character has developed as part of the campaign or as part of the sessions. Like, hey, maybe I've started to take a bit of a leader role within these past sessions, so I would like to get a +2 in either lead or inspire. That could make complete sense, something that you can do. But yeah, basically at level starting from level 9, you will have and you'll have to jump to creating a new trigger, which will get 10 + 4, which will get another +6. Then you'll have another one. You'll have a final +2 trigger. So yeah, you could have at best 5 +6 triggers and a 6th one, which is just a +2, if that's something that interests you. If you prefer to, you know, maximize bonuses. But yeah, I'm gonna be taking a break here because an ad is about to pop up in a few seconds, and I'll be right back once the ad is over. Okay, there we are. So we can continue as we were just talking about triggers and how exactly you get those, and also how we left off on how to create them. With Game Master approval, you can write your own triggers, custom triggers that can be more specific than the examples in this book. You can cold blood or insult someone, for instance. But it shouldn't be more general. It should always apply to specific circumstances or actions. Yeah, they still have to have some sort of a scenario where or types of scenarios where they apply, but not to be something that it's all encompassing. And the book offers you a few examples when creating your character and leveling up. You can choose triggers from this list, or you can use them as an inspiration to writing your own. At LL0, your pilot gets 4 triggers at +2 each. I've kind of covered a bit. Or to get a few examples that are pretty obvious: apply fists to face, punch someone in the face, or fight in open, brutal, unarmed combat. Whenever it's a fist fight, a martial arts duel, or a huge brawl, then they'll subtle, clean, or quiet. Act unseen or unheard, get somewhere or do something without detection, but not necessarily quickly. Hide, sneak, or move quietly. Infiltrate a facility while avoiding controls and cameras. Perform a sleight of hand without being seen or heard, including pickpockets, unholstering guns, and cheating at cards. Wear a disguise. So yeah, anything within these kind of like general kind of roguish archetype. Now we have lead or inspire. Give an inspiring speech. Motivate a group of people into actions. Efficiently and effectively administer organization like companies, ship crews, groups of colonists, mining ventures. Effectively command a platoon of soldiers in battle, or maybe an entire army. Okay, let me go for some that might be a bit more pure. Another one, pull rank. Pull rank on a subordinate, gain information, resources, or aid from them. Maybe against their will. Anytime you're trying to coerce or convince someone who might respect your authority, military or otherwise, you might be pulling rank. So, you know, if you're of higher status, basically of some way or another, that's one way. And yeah, let's say word on the street, which one is pretty self-explanatory. Get gossips, news, hearsays from the streets or from a particular social scene. So yeah, the book itself offers you quite a decent selection to get an idea, or to literally pull from yourself if you feel like some of these are a direct fit and not necessarily having a need to create your own. At that point, these are probably the most general ones that you would expect a character to have and choose. So, you know, but hey, good that they give you a few guidelines, a few ideas, so you don't necessarily act in the blind. Now, we were talking about like roleplay scenarios, lower narrative play. There's also the possibility of combat. Although pilots will mostly play a role in narrative play or narrative scenes outside of their mech, but there are times you will need to know how your pilot functions in mech combat. They might need to bail out of their mechs during a fight, or you might want to track your pilot's hit points if they get injured during downtime. Although pilots operate on a different scale to mechs, they have some of the same statistics: size, HP, evasion, E defense, and speed. Size is how much space a character takes up on the battlefield, which in most scenarios I think for humans is the same across the board. HP is how much damage a character can take before they go down. Evasion is how hard it is to hit a character with a weapon. E defense is how hard it is to hit a character with electronic systems. Speed is how many spaces a character can move at a time. And pilots have the following statistics. They have HP of 6 plus their grit, a size 1.5, evasion 10, E defense 10, and speed 4. Their statistics, especially their HP, might also change if they're wearing armor, which is part of the gear that they choose. But yeah, in general, you are a really small squishy thing that if you were to be out of your mech in full mech combat, you're kind of yucked. So yeah, I forgot exactly what are like the general numbers, but again, remember, you usually roll d6s for damage rolls. and grit is something that you get once every 2 levels as an extra bonus. So by level 12 you'll have, or not, by level 11 you'll have 12 HP at most, which means that still probably a hit from like a gun or 2, or maybe just one gun could be just more than enough to kill you in a on the spot from a mech. So yeah, that kind of sucks. But yeah, creating a pilot. To make a pilot part of your character at LL0, just follow these simple steps. First, choose a background. You can create a background yourself, choose from the list of the backgrounds, or you can randomly select from the list through a dice roll. During narrative play, you can get bonuses by invoking your pilot's background. Additionally, through the pilot's background, you get 4 triggers that are at +2 modifier, and they have to be related to that background. Then you have your combat statistics, as mentioned before: size of half, 6 HP, evasion 10, e-defense 10, and 4 speed. Then you choose gear, and finally you choose gear. You embark on a mission. You'll choose a gear from a for your pilot from the gear list in the Compendium. Pilots can have armor, up to 2 weapons, and up to 3 other pieces of gear. That's what the pilot is limited at. So, you know, just to get an understanding of your general combat or protective or gear-like capabilities. I'm pretty sure you can have like duplicates if you want of certain of a certain weapon or certain type of gear. Because I know like one of the pieces of gear you can have, it's like a robotic third limb, or like, you know, additional limb. And I think you can, if you want to, you could technically have 3 of those if you want to. So you could like full on Doc Ock if you feel like it, or, you know, or at least just have 2 of them in like a bit more kind of like a 4-armed, you know, individual scientist type of person. Yeah, but yeah, in general, the pilot has the smallest amount of things that you kind of need to focus on, and most of it's gonna go into narrative play. Of course, you might have some, you know, mini combat scenarios here and there that could apply. So those are also to be taken into account, but nothing too specific. And hopefully, most of that combat happens outside of mechs and with no mechs in the vicinity, because otherwise, just you as an itty-bitty pilot, you are gonna be in big trouble. But now that we are kind of done with what the pilot is about, now we're getting to the real deal. Now we're getting into the mech, the big boy, the thing that you're out here to build throughout the entirety of the of whatever campaign's arc series of sessions you do or adventure. This is the one that can heavily be modified, changed, or upgraded throughout it, in comparison to the pilot. So yeah, the mech. Mechanized cavalry units, or mechs, are the primary armored agents around which many states, agencies, and militaries base their ground forces. Depending on their chassis, mechs can stand anything from 3 to 15 meters tall. They are almost always bi, quadru, or hexapedal, and the majority of them have either 1 or 2 sets of arms capable of manipulating weapons and interacting with the environment. Some pilots prefer their mech's weapon system to be built directly in the chassis. In some cases, depending on the system size and power, this kind of integration might be a necessity. Most mechs are controlled by a single pilot, but some larger, highly advanced platforms require additional crews. Although I don't think something that is necessarily part of general play. Maybe something more custom, but not. I don't think as something that you would obtain as a mech, as it is part of your character. Mechs are agile, quick, and responsive machines for their size. They can traverse most solid and vacuum environments, and their mobility is often augmented by or dependent on maneuvering jets. Still, they are heavy and reliant on internal cold fusion generators for power. Mech power plants are heavily shielded, reliable, and basically inexhaustible. But should a reactor be compromised, the results are catastrophic. Imagine, I think, if you've seen the OG Gundam anime, I think you imagine the scene where Amurod first takes the RX-70A2 Gundam and just does a beam saber into the nuclear reactor because all the mechs are nuclearly powered and just literally caused a nuclear explosion. Yeah, that kind of thing. Like, if you hit it the wrong way, it's gonna pop big. Mechs are common enough in construction, hazardous material cleanup, exploration, and other roles that they don't shock the average person. Mechanized cavalry, though, are different. They are military machines that often have a lancer behind the controls, a pilot on the same level as the knights or flying aces of old. So, yeah, your mech as a concept is not something too outlandish for most. But a militarized one to the level of a lancer is unique in its own. Like, not everyone has this level of, this level of technical infrastructure on a single machine. Yeah, one of the main aspects of mechs are mech skills. Mech operate on an entirely different level to anything else in Lancer. They are powered, armored hulks of incredible strength, packed full of advanced systems and weapons. A mech is capable of far more than a person on foot. They grant their pilots the ability to perform feats of incredible strength, speed, and resilience when skill alone isn't enough. So think of the mech kind of as an extension of the pilot. That's kind of the whole thing. That's why this game is more mech focused, because most of your tasks are going to be extensions of what your mech is capable of. And you as a pilot in specific narrative scenarios are gonna just be on their own doing something. In most things that require powerful feats of strength, speed, resilience, anything physical of that sort, it's gonna be the mech more than or even just general combat or skills. It's gonna be more the mech than you as the pilot on your own. Yeah, your Lancer has 4 mech skills that represent their ability to build, pilot, and fight mechs. Fight with mechs, sorry. All describes your ability to build and pilot durable, structurally sound mechs that can take punches and keep going. Agility, so think of it kind of like constitution, resilience, that sort of thing. Agility describes your ability to build up and pilot fast and evasive mechs, tech speed, that kind of thing. Systems describes your ability to build and pilot advanced mechs with powerful electronic warfare capabilities. Think of like hacking, target locking, a lot more digital gizmos than just pure, analog firepower. And engineering describes your ability to build and pilot mechs of effective reactors, supplies, and support systems. So yeah, this is more on the technical side, while the systems it's more the digital side, the physical. Mech skills can go from +0 to a +6, similar to triggers. But and are used instead of triggers when you make skill checks that directly utilize the mech. For example, if you want to punch something with a mech, you would roll whole instead of pilot a pilot trigger like assault. In mech combat, especially when making saves. For additional bonuses, skills are also used for additional bonuses when building a mech. When you make a roll that calls for one of these skills, you add the relevant skill to your roll. And to kind of get an example, haul, when you roll haul when you're smashing through or pulverizing objects, vehicles, or buildings, lifting, dragging, pushing, or hurling an enormous amount of weight, grabbing or wrestling mechs, starships, or mech-sized creatures. Why not? You can have kaijus if you want. Resisting a huge amount of force, or staying upright in the cataclysmic weather. Because yeah, as I said, sentient species are not really a thing, but perhaps like some sort of like apex predators the size of a fucking mech if you want to. So have that kind of thing. As if you want to have like some sort of like a Pacific Rim type scenario where you're fighting big ass kaijus that are just basically I don't know, doomsday creatures and apex predators. Go ahead. Then you have agility. You usually roll agility when you're chasing, pursuing, or fleeing with incredible speed, performing acrobatics in your mech, riding or moving silently, performing a feat of fine manual dexterity with your mech, or dodging out of the way of danger. So yeah. systems is when you're infiltrating hardened and powerful electronic systems and targets, including other mechs, boosting or suppressing a signal, engaging in electronic warfare, scanning or analyzing information, boosting or weakening the electronic system vehicles, mechs, starships, or bases, interacting safely with electronic life forms, basically NHPs usually, or analyzing the nature of unfamiliar electronic systems. So yeah, anything within the realm of the digital. While engineering is role when you're pushing your mech past its limits, withstanding extreme conditions such as heat, cold, void, or radiations, using your mech's reactor like a forge, keeping your mech running well past its breaking point for extreme amounts of time, traveling or moving safely through hazardous or hostile condition, boosting the reactor's output of other mechs, starships, or bases, or conserving and efficiently using ammo, power, and other resources. So yeah, and I guess whole is more based around the general strength, while engineering is more about the general resilience. Because if you are you as a higher engineering means that you have a higher affinity of knowing where its truer limits can be, or where the actual breaking points, or maybe you can ride that fine line of being close to the breaking point with your mech. But they are quite close to what you've probably seen from other whole is something similar to strength, agility is something dex. Systems, think of anything that is intelligence, wisdom, kind of based things that maybe in some situation can sound like magic, or in scenario tech, hacking skills. And engineering is more on the general resilience with some aspects of, I guess, wisdom or utility, of the utility that maybe wisdom or intelligence can offer you. Oh yeah, also modular mechs. Mechs are powerful machines, but what makes them more powerful and your character more unique than other pilots is your ability to source and combine mech weapon parts and gears from many different manufacturers. Mechs in Lancer are modular. Each frame comes with a list of licensed restricted gear that, once unlocked, can be freely swapped between all your mechs. Because of this customizability, pilots are as much experts at building their machines as they are piloting them. So technically, all Lancer pilots are to some extent not necessarily engineering wizards. Think of them like passionate mechanics, at the very least, where they have the knowledge to swap around bits and pieces. Of course, some character can be more highly specialized than others, especially once you get into the section of talents and all that. But in general, everyone is capable at the very least of doing the bare minimum maintenance of their own machine. Your pilot's access to more and better parts increases with their LL license level. When your pilot's LL increases up to a maximum of 12, you gain a +1 license rank that can be spent on a license from a mech manufacturer. Manufacturers offer a range of different licenses, all of which have 3 tiers: rank 1, rank 2, and rank 3, and must be bought in order. Every new rank you obtain unlocks various systems, weapons, and even mechs. At rank 2, you get a new mech frame, and rank 3 gives you access to the most advanced components. These weapons and systems are interchangeable. You can add as many to your mech as its frame can support from any license rank you have unlocked, but with the specificality that you have to have them unlocked. For example, an LL5 character with licenses for the IPSN, Raleigh 3, and the SSC Metal Mark 2 has access to every piece of gear from rank 1 to 3 of the Raleigh license, and all the gear from rank 1 to and rank 2 of the Metal Mark license. They could take the Raleigh rank 1 hand cannon and put it on the Metal Mark frame, or they can take the Metal Mark's rail rifle and put it on the Raleigh, mixing and matching as they choose. So yeah, once you unlock them, at that point it becomes Mecha Lego. Like, just put them together. They just have to meet the requirements and the frame for it to support and not go beyond its limits of what it can, withstand, contain, and have equipped. General Master Systems, or the GMS, all pilots at level 0 have access to the GMS SP1 or Everest frame and the GMS gear list. At first, this will be the only gear available to you until your character gains some LLs and unlocks new licenses. GMS parts are galactic standards, useful for even high LL pilots. Oh yeah, which is like another thing. Just because GMS is the starter frame and starter, mech, and kind of the generalist, that doesn't mean that you cannot just have the GMS from start to finish in Lancer, because again, it's all just about the stats and what it can wield, but you can still explore other licenses and just get those on. Once you get those unlocked, put them on the GMS and still keep the GMS. The other frames are hyper specialized in other aspects, but if you want to and you still want that kind of all-rounder stats and capabilities that the GMS can offer to you, just stick with the GMS. You can do that, and that's one of the other cool aspects of Lancer. Like, it doesn't matter. You can have a starter frame. You can have an unlocked frame. You can have the latest advanced gear. You can have still the most recently unlocked gear. All that gear is still viable from start to finish. None of it becomes obsolete. Of course, things get crazier and more sophisticated the higher you go in rankings, but that doesn't mean that you're not gonna be able to have access to something still more viable. And at the end of the day, your frames still have limitations. You can't have every gear that you unlock equipped. You can't have every type of and even in there you have limits of what types of gear each frame can equip, because certain frames have certain sizes. It also limits what sort of rails they have, which represents what type of attachments, gear attachments they can support, and that kind of thing. Yeah, but yeah, anyways, without limits, you never lose access to the mechs or gear that you're licensed to use. Your pilot is assumed to almost always have access to it by one means or another, whether influence, patronage, wealth, or rank. Accessing licensed equipment is made even easier by advancements in 3D printing. In Lancer, it's possible to print entire mechs wholesale. Even if your mech is destroyed in battle, you can easily print a replacement during downtime. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. It's a lot more consequence-free, especially because, we are taking in account the idea that, the mech is an extension of your character, someone you create, and it will really undermine the whole point of Lancer if somehow you permanently lose access. Of course, again, each game has their own thing. You could figure out, or you can play around with the idea. Like, this is the general expected and what is to be known on a day-to-day basis, like this, across civilized societies, that this is the norm. But I'm not saying that you cannot have scenarios or have moments. Maybe your party or the crew would be stuck in a scenario where they can't really get access easily, or at the least not within a reasonable time to new parts or new limits, and so they are restricted to their mechs, to their current machines. And if they are lost throughout the mission, then things get a bit dicey. You can occasionally add these survival aspects, or who knows, maybe you want to make this a big part of it, where you reacquiring your mech, it's also a journey of its own. Not saying that you fully deny them the possibility of no longer losing their mech. That's it, it's a permanent thing. No, we could make it a bit more survival-esque, where it could be a bit of an effort. Of course, that detaches a bit beyond, and of course this is something that needs to be talk to the group and have something that everyone is agreeing to participate in, and not just something that you consider. Because again, it kind of really it kind of tangents quite a lot from the initial purpose. But as I said, you can experiment. There are aspects of the game that you can really freeform, in my opinion, even with the mission structure, and can make interesting scenarios, and this one could be one of them that you can occasionally throw out there that hey, not always you're gonna have to quickly get access to your mech again. So be careful on how you use it, be careful on how you manage what you have. That can be a thing. Yeah, speaking of, now that we kind of generally talking about the mech itself, let's talk about how the mech is, the mech structure, the mech components. Most mechs have 2 arms, 2 legs, but you can modify this basic structure however you choose within reason. Just ask your game master. Your mech's overall look, structure, and layout have no bearing on gameplay. As long as you don't actually push some mechanical change to it, the mech can, you know, be structured and have a layout and design in however you feel fits. First best aspect is the frame, the basic structure and components of mechs. It's chassis, armor, and mounts. It's called a frame. Mech's frame determines its appearance, size, and function, defining it as anything from a heavy siege engine to an agile flyer, or even a cloaking mech that specializes in electronic warfare, aka the Goblin. It's a menace. These effects are expressed by a frame's traits. Think about choosing a frame as more or less choosing the mech your character is going to pilot. But remember that you're not limited to just one frame. You can acquire a new ones by unlocking rank 2 licenses. So you can have basically a hangar mechs as a character if that's something that interests you, and you know, swap around based on the mission. In game terms, a frame is a mech's modular base. It determines your mech size, armor, and other specifications, as well as its available weapon mounts and capacity for additional systems. Each frame comes with a unique core system, a powerful special ability that can typically only be used once per mission. Yeah, the frame kind of generalizes the overall size, strength, general statistical strength of it, and what it can have equipped on it, and what kind of powers it has, and what kind of specialization it has. Because yeah, the core system, the GMS, is more generic. It's not gonna have it's the all-rounder, but once you start to unlock licenses and you're gonna unlock new frames, you're gonna find a lot of frames with different types of specialities, and that's kind of when you're starting kind of like building and crafting specific types of mechs for specific types of scenarios. Yeah. First of all, the most important aspect of it is the size. All mechs, characters, and objects on the battlefield have a size that describes how large they are in a grid space. On each side, rounded up to 1 if smaller. So a size 1.5 and a size 1 character occupy the same space. Is one hexagon, because the Lancer is on a hexagonal grid. And size is an abstract measurement. It doesn't describe a precise height and width in feet, but the space a character controls around them. Humans and the smallest mechs are size 1.5. Most mechs are size 1, but some are large as size 3, which are absolute units, to be fair. But yeah, but in general, I think size. I forgot if size 1 is the smallest mech or 1.5. Because technically, there are suits. The Goblin is one example where technically the mech is more of an exosuit. It's like literally you can see the limbs of the pilot like dangling out, like it's just slightly bigger than the pilot itself, but not by much. So I forgot if it counts as 1.5 or that counts as 1. I think it counts as 1.5 because it's slightly bigger than the pilot, but not by much, while comparing to a size 1, which is significantly bigger to the point where you have a cockpit, like you are just incorporated in one size of the mech. Also, hi there, Valis. Thank you so much for the hydrate. I appreciate you taking care. Oh buddy, oh brother. I think I'm out of water. Well, damn. That's a scenario. Oh, okay. I'll put a pin on that because there's gonna be an ad break coming up in like 15-ish minutes. So when I'm gonna take that break, I'm gonna refill and I'm gonna do the hydrate then. I'm gonna keep that in mind. I'm not gonna forget about it, because I don't want to like jump now, then jump back in, and then also once again take another break because of the ad. So I'm just gonna tough it out until the ad, and then I'm gonna come back and hydrate. Yeah, sorry. Especially now that the weather is starting to kind of chill out, I should probably get my my bigger bottle around here. I haven't done it during most of the summer because, you know, it just warms up and it's awful. It's like extremely room temperature and at a even beyond room temperature because of the heat. So, you know, I wanted something cool and refreshing, and that means that I usually have to keep it in my glass, and that's it. Maybe I should get like a thermos or something of the sorts, like to kind of keep my liquids cool, even during hot days. Something for a later time. But yeah, thanks a lot, Dallas, for the hydrate. I'm gonna remember that, and also let me give you a shout out before I continue. Back coin pusher. Ooh, a roguelike. Interesting. I'm not familiar of the game itself, but I think that it has roguelike in its name. Sounds like fun. That would be good. I have multiple thermos bottles of water at my desk. Yeah, I saw like a really good advice, which I should probably follow at some point. Of technically, especially for like streaming and even outside of streaming, if you're the type of person that has like a desk job, or you know, you stand long term on your computer, you should technically have like 3 liquids on you. Water, specifically for hydration, something for personal enjoyment. It could be something like a soda, just purely whatever you enjoy as a drink. So that could be your sip of it that you can enjoy with. And also something to energize, like whatever that could be. Could be a tea, could be a coffee, could be an energy drink if you're that kind of crazy, or you know, something of the sort. So, you know, something to keep you energized, something to keep you hydrated, and something for fun. Well, at the very least, hydration and energizing would probably be the priority. The fun one depends. I guess that could be just for your own pleasure and enjoyment. But I feel like that's an interesting advice, although I would fucking fill my desk with tons of like flasks and bottles and all that kind of shit. Even though right now it's literally like that right at this moment, because I have like different types of water bottles of water that I've not refilled in a while. They're just emptied and sitting around here. I should probably do that at some point. And yeah, I do appreciate you shout out peeps around. But yeah, we're out here talking about Lancer, and right now we are at the point of detailing and how exactly a mech is structured, and what exactly are the components of the mech, and how exactly those components matter when it comes to you choosing them or customizing them. Some aspects are related to customization, some are related to their overall statistics, that sort of things, or even their overall abilities. We'll have a few pages, although I think today probably gonna finish within a reasonable time frame. But yeah, this is a lengthier part, because you know, the pilot is a small aspect of the entire system. The mech is more like the big thing when it comes to customizing, upgrading, improving, kind of thing. Yeah, now that we covered frames and sizes, let's look at mounts, which mechs can only carry a limited number of weapons determined by their frame. Trying to install too many weapons and their supporting systems places far too much stress on the mech's structure and reactor. Each mech frame has a different number and different types of mounts. To add a weapon to your mech, you need an available mount of the right type and size. You can, however, add smaller weapons to larger mounts. For example, you can add a main or auxiliary weapon to a heavy mount, or add 2 auxiliary weapons to a main auxiliary mount. I feel like I played a session of this with somebody like 10-15 years ago. I don't even know how old Lancer is. Maybe the devs have, the creators have done it Lancerrpg, not Mitsubishi. I don't care about the car. Well, different type of vehicle. 2019. 6 years ago. Maybe they've made something similar to it, maybe a lot older than that. Maybe. Or something similar to this. Mech games have been... Yeah, mech games have been around forever. I'm not saying that... I was just curious. Now that you mentioned it, I was just simply curious when exactly this one got released. And it's not that old. 2019. Pretty new-ish. Published by Dark Horse Comics. Damn. Look at that. Didn't know that. I just knew the creators themselves, the massive press. Yeah, I know they've been, but I know that they've been adaptations or trying to kind of system changes to existing ones. I know there's like I think for like D&D, I think like 3.5 or something like that. There is something in there that kind of gets close to mostly through things that are related to the astral plane or anything in that regard. Because you have the big starships. I forgot what they're called, the nautiloids and all that. But they also have like equivalents to like weird giant like behemoth like mech exosuits, bioorganic like exosuits. So that I think they kind of adapted it that or something of that sort. So yeah, something in that regard. So I'm not saying that it's not necessarily a new thing or just completely innovative or something like that. But it couldn't have been this one if it came out in 2019. Definitely would have been 2018. It's got some similar mechanics though. Looks cool. To be fair, that's at the very least from what I've heard. Again, I've not gotten a chance to experience it myself. The biggest praise that Lancer has received when it comes to combat, it's tight. Like it's probably the most like it has a well-rounded out like combat system. Which, to be fair, it's mostly because a lot of the system, even from reading through here and even from it's generally seeing how others have talked about it, it's more about side advancements. Like you get like more like side improvements, which means that you're not necessarily powering yourself up. You're just getting something good, but good in a different way. Usually that's what I mean by side investment or like side advancements. It's not that you're necessarily advancing in power level. You're just more advancing in specialization, or in variety. You usually start more as a generalist kind of pilot, and then as you as a character and a player evolve, and based on your choices, both as talents, mechs, frames, licenses, you get different options when it comes to customization, and from that point you have different selections of how you specialize yourself and how you customize your mech. But because everything is limited within a small pool, like manufacturer licenses are up to rank 3, and you get a rank per license level, so basically per character level up. That means that in 12 license levels you can gain a total of 4 full ranks of advancements, if that's something that you want. So you have access to 4 pools of rank 3 weaponry, but it doesn't mean that rank 2 or rank 1 are lesser. They're just more sophisticated, or just have more, they're just more specialized. Similar, as I mentioned before, if you decide to stick with the GMS, which is the starter frame, or like the starter mech, it's totally viable, because you still get upgrades, you still get systems, you still get things from other licenses that you can slap onto your mech that has generalized stats, and still have something, and still do special, and still specialize it or do something unique with it. It's not gonna become obsolete. You can just have that frame from start to finish, even once you reach max license. Like that's kind of I think it's one of its key features, that it doesn't really power creep. It's more like side advances. It's more about like kind of counterplaying, countermeasuring, and having the right tools for the right job. But it's not like one of them is objectively better than the other. Of course, I'm pretty sure it's not perfect. You can probably min-max certain parts of how you play a mech, or certain parts of how this mech can handle certain tasks or the character itself. But in general, from what I've seen, because it has such a small pool, because even with talents it's the same thing. Every talent has 3 ranks. You have a rank 1 to rank 3. Then because you get a new talent per level up, that means that you can get a total of 4 max leveled talents, like groups of talents, basically. Which again, yes, they get a bit better by the rank 3, but that doesn't mean that they're objectively the most powerful thing. So it's more about you have a ton of like modular things that you can mix around, but they don't overpower each other out there. Like, it kind of gets closer to probably what you'd expect to be, I guess, if we were to put the example of up to like level 12, 13 in D&D 5th edition. Like, yeah, what your character is capable of towards its finale, it's a bit better, more powerful, but it doesn't necessarily undermine some of the tool sets or options or availabilities that you had before that. Those are still viable, those are still things that you could use, compared to, let's say, a level 20 type of campaign where you have things like Wish, insane like 5th, 7th, 8th level spells that just get way too crazy. And just plus creatures that are designed to kind of either outmaneuver all that craziness or somehow require you to basically nuke it with all those crazy abilities in order to make it viable. Yeah, it's a bit more, I guess, tactical in that way, the way it kind of like play it. Kind of like a war game, but I guess more on a micro scale, in the sense that you're just wargaming with one character instead of like wargaming with a set of troops. Yeah, but yeah, Lancer is not necessarily like the only one. There have been others, I'm sure, in the past, either been adapted from or just simply flavored to be like mech things. I'm pretty sure they have been stuff. But yeah, now getting back to frames. Okay, so frames can have the following mount types. You can have a main mount, which can take a main or auxiliary weapon. You can have a heavy mount, which can take one heavy, main, or auxiliary weapon. You can have an aux mount, which can take up to 2 auxiliary weapons. You can have a main aux, which can either take 1 main weapon, an auxiliary weapon, or 2 auxiliary weapons. Yeah. Flexible mounts, which can take either 1 main weapon or up to 2 auxiliary weapons. And you also have integrated mounts, which are designed around specific weapons that are built into frames. They automatically include the listed weapons which cannot be destroyed, removed, replaced, or modified in any way. Usually, yeah, integrated mounts are, at its name, integrated. They cannot really stripped out, as they are an integral part of the entire frame. So basically, having it missing, it means that you have a core component of the entire frame missing, which at that point your mech is kind of trashed. And super heavy weapons, which are especially large, require both a heavy mount and one other amount of any size, which I think those are something that you probably expect to get or expect to see out of some of the size 3 mechs, which are absolute fucking units. They're like cruise ship level kind of big. They're literally like walking fortresses of mechs with basically giant ass rail cannons kind of thing. So imagine that. Yeah, weapons are mounted on a mech. Aren't necessarily attached to the chassis. They can be slung in, holstered, built into compartments, or held normally. You can decide how your mech's weapons are mounted. It has no effects on the rules. Yeah, as long as they still follow this guideline that you have some slots taken in. The way you fucking flavor it, it's up to you. Like, yeah, it could be an actual big ass fucking gun that the mech uses, like how a human would use a gun. Be some sort of incorporated, I don't know, missile pods, or some sort of like rail cannon that is kind of like shoulder mounted, or like shoulder kind of attached or in some other ways, you know, just simply kind of strapped on. It doesn't matter. It's up to you to how you want to make your mech look like. Be as cool as you want it to be. Oh, yeah, weapons. Mech weapons have three traits. Have three traits. Yeah, many T words. Size, type, and damage. When it comes to size, you have auxiliary weapons, which are the smallest mech weapons, light enough to use alongside a larger weapon. You have main weapons, which are the standard size of mech weapons. You have heavy weapons, which are larger, heavier weapons, which inflicts massive damage. You also have super heavy weapons, which are very large weapons with high power requirements, and they are usually rare or highly advanced. So yeah, expect them at kind of a rank 3 kind of thing, and probably for licenses of big mechs or like big frames. Not like some sort of small guy will have access to this kind of thing. Yeah. Types. All weapons have a type that describes their general range and combat function. You have the melee types, which melee weapons are mech scale swords, axes, power tools, or other hand-to-hand weapons. Mech's raw strength can turn even crude tools into forces to be reckoned with. CQB, close quarters battle. Weapons that are designed for close range combat, including pistols, shotguns, flamethrowers, and more exotic weapons like nail guns. They usually have a short range, but are better for reacting quickly to emergent threats. You have rifles, sturdy weapons with good range and stopping power. Launchers, weapons that fire missile grenades or other projectiles. And cannons are high caliber weapons useful for inflicting heavy damage on enemies, but they lack in precision. They usually make it up for power. And also nexus, weapons are reservoirs and projectors for swarms of self-propelled armed drones. So yeah, you can also just send the swarm and destroy them. So yeah, note that CQB, rifles, launcher cannons, and nexus weapons are range weapons and always make range attacks, even against targets within their threat. So yeah, basically outside of melee, everything else is considered ranged. And you also have damage types, which most weapons deal one of three kinds: kinetic, explosive, or energy. Some kinds of weapons also deal heat to harm other mech's internal systems, or burn, which is a damage over time, which are explained in the harm section. Yeah, that's also another aspect. But yeah, these are the general parts of weapon. Hi Adrian, I have to learn, but have fun with the stream. No worries. Thanks for lurking around, Willow. Good luck with whatever you're doing, and maybe we could give you a shout out before the ad comes up and interrupts us. That you Fogs? I do not know how to pronounce that, but I think it's Fogs. Not sure what that is. Hope you had fun with that, and good luck with whatever you're doing as you're lurking. Which, by the way, I'm also going to be taking a quick break right now because an ad is about to pop in a few seconds, and yeah, I'll return once the ad is over. So yeah, see you in a few minutes. There we go. Okay, so let's continue. Usual things. So we have it. So we went through weapons and how exactly they are mounted and all the related to it. So now talk about system points. Each mech frame also has a set number of systems or system points, sorry, or SP. SP can be spent to add extra systems to your mech, and some heavier weapons require both mounts and SP. You can add systems to your mech that would cause you to cannot add systems to your mech that could cause you to exceed your available SP. Your pilot's grit, equal to half of their license level, is added to your total SP. You gain an additional SP for every 2 points of system. Is one of the stats. Start with here, your mech stats, like general stats. Yeah, for every 2 points of system, you get an SP. So if you want to be a character that is heavily specialized in system, in systems, then you'll probably want to have as high number of systems, high stat system as possible. But yeah, core systems. Every frame comes with a core system. These powerful abilities are unique to each frame, can't be transferred to other mechs, and in most cases can only be used once a mission by consuming the core power, CP. I cannot read today, refers to a reservoir of high efficiency reactor power designed to be used in a quick burst. This reservoir is essential to the high power systems many mechs use in emergency situations and heavy action. At any given time, a mech either has CP or it doesn't. There's no way to save it up or store extra CP. Aside for some rare equipment, instead you get CP when you start a mission or your mech receives repair. Sometimes, if you're lucky, the Game Master might grant you CP the mission. But in general, it's a one and done type of thing. Yeah. Now, base statistics. And different frames have different starting statistics, giving them unique in combat. HP and structure. Like Pilot, your mech has hit points, HP. Your mech, however, isn't destroyed when it reaches 0 HP. Mechs have 4 structure. When they reach 0 HP, they take 1 structure damage. And their HP resets. They lose structure like this. Mechs make a special structure damage check and receive a consequence based on roll. Most mechs have 4 structure and are destroyed when they reach 0 structure. Basically, kind of think of it like a shell. You're basically breaking through each shell of the mech until your other shells and you're just purely out there in the open destroyed. Think of it like this way, or you can imagine it as core components of the mech. Maybe think of it like kind of one of those kind of like the big monster fights where you target an arm. Now the arm has fallen off, but you still have another arm and whatever other weaponries or big cannons. So you have to individually target them and remove them. That could also be something flavor-wise you could think of. Mechanically, of course, you have a consequence once you do the structure damage check, but don't necessarily expect that the consequence is actually losing mounts or anything of the sort. But think of it that way when you are imagining what exactly means that you have structure and HP. You have layers of damage or layers of HP. Repair cap. Repairs are a kind of currency that you can use to heal and repair your mech. If your mech runs out of repairs, you can no longer regain HP or fix damaged systems in build. Speed. Your mech speed determines how far you can move on your turn in phases when you make a standard move or boost. Yeah, basically the number represents the amount of hexagons you can move. So if you have 4 speed, that means 4 spaces, 4 hexagons. Keep it simple. Evasion. Evasion is how hard it is for ranged and melee attacks to hit you. Sensors. Your mech sensors is the maximum distance in spaces over which a mech can detect enemies, use tech systems, and make tech attacks. If a character is within your sensors and it isn't hiding, they're there, even if you can't directly see them. Your mech, because think of it like kind of advanced targeting systems that the mech has, are beyond the usual capabilities of the human eye. Tech attack. You add your mech's tech attack as a bonus instead of grit when you conduct electronic warfare. E-defense is how hard it is for electronics and guided weapons and systems to hit you. And also heat cap and stress. Oh, by the way, Valos, I've not forgotten. I've refilled my glass and I am hydrating right now. Your mech heat cap and stress. Your mech can take heat from tech attacks and some of its own systems. If it takes more heat than its heat cap, it overheats. Mechs also have stress, which is similar to structure. When they exceed their heat cap, they take 1 stress damage and clear all heat. When they lose stress like this, mechs have to make a special stress damage check. and receive a consequence based on the roll. Most mechs have 4 stress. They are destroyed when they reach 0 stress. So yeah, basically you have like two HP gauges that you kind of have to or like two living condition gauges that you kind of have to like manage, make sure that neither of them reach 0, because otherwise you're just doomed. The heat and overheat one is interesting because especially because you're gonna encounter a gear or systems or components that you can add to your mech that will create that heat, while at the same time there is also like abilities and talents that you can specialize in, that you can actually play around with the heat build-up. So you can have this kind of like risk-reward play style if you want, of like taking on heat, using it in combat to gain certain benefits. So you're kind of always riding this edge, but of basically pushing your mechs to its kind of like systems limits, in order to kind of be more powerful in combat. So it's interesting. You also have save targets. When you force another character to make a save, they must match or beat your mech's save target or take consequences. Yeah, overall similar things as you'd expect from the pilot, but a bit more expanded and with a few more layers. In some cases, actually literally layers, with things like HP and heat cap. But yeah, now that we know the basics, how exactly can you improve them? When your pilot builds a mech, their mech skills allow you to boost some of its statistics. This is your pilot's unique or personal touch, giving you the ability to customize a stock frame. Your pilot's grit is added to your mech's HP and save target, as well as its SP and attack rolls. Your pilot hull affects your mech's durability. You gain +2 HP for each point in hull, and +1 repair cap for every 2 points in hull. Your pilot's agility affects your mech's maneuverability. You gain +1 evasion for each point, and +1 speed for every 2 points. Your pilot systems affect your mech systems and electronics warfare abilities. You gain +1 E defense and tech attack for each point, and another additional SP for every 2 system points. 2 points of system. Okay. Yeah, it's weird because you have system points and points of system. It's a bit can get probably a bit confusing. Your pilot's engineering affects heat management and ease of repair. You have a +1 heat cap for each point of engineering, and a +1 to the maximum uses of any limited systems or weapons for every 2 points of engineering. So yeah, it's an interesting one to kind of play around with the systems stats as well, because you unlock more systems, and at the same time with engineering you have more uses of systems and weapons, depending if they have the special trait of being limited. So interesting kind of stats to balance. But yeah, you also have core bonuses. As your pilot acquires more licenses, they gain knowledge and skill specific to individual manufacturers and their design philosophies. This specialized knowledge is represented by core bonuses, unique enhancements that offer interesting ways to customize your mech. Core bonuses are permanent improvements that apply to any frame your pilot uses. You cannot choose the same core bonus more than once, but as your pilot progresses, you'll be able to use a range of different bonuses. Your pilot gets a new core bonus every 3 license levels. You can always choose core bonuses from the GMS list, but for each core bonus you choose from another manufacturer, you first need to have 3 license ranks with that manufacturer. For example, if I choose a core bonus from the IPS North Star, IPSN, you would need at least 3 ranks in IPSN licenses. If you wanted to choose a second IPSN bonus, you need at least 6 ranks in IPSN in licenses. These ranks can be any combination. For example, you might have a you might have the rank 1 and rank 2 licenses for one mech, then 3 different rank 1 licenses for equaling a 6 in total. So it's more of a total amount, not a total rank number, a rank stage. That's fine. And then you also have talents. Your pilot's ingenuity and experience of piloting a mech are represented by talents. Special enhancements that can help a pilot push the mechs past their limits. Talents give you points and benefits or abilities with specific weapon types, systems, or styles of play, allowing you to further define them within the rules and story. With a few exceptions, talents only affect your character capabilities as a mech pilot. Talents, like licenses, are measured in ranks from rank 1 to rank 3. At the license level 0, you start with 3 rank 1 talents of your choice. When your pilot levels up, you can either increase a talent to the next rank, for example from rank 1 to rank 2, or you can choose a new talent at rank 1. There's also a full compendium later down the book. Yeah, those are kind of, the talents are kind of something that kind of not necessarily goes into classes. It's more about like playstyle specializations that can widely apply across all mechs that you are piloting, similar to the core bonuses as well. So it's not something that it's necessarily just stick to one mech. Like, you know, the frames and the weapon systems are an aspect of the mech, but not anything else of that regard. And the system that you apply to the mech as well. So now that we have all the things laid out, how exactly are you creating a mech? Constructing and customizing a mech may seem daunting at first, but broken down into steps, it's much simpler than it seems. You start by picking up a frame from the licenses available to you. The frames give you your mech's base statistics. At LL0, you only have access to the GMS SP1 Everest, although I think through some adventures, or I'm not sure exactly how they call them, adventure modules, let's call them, for simplicity's sake. I think I know from like 2 adventure modules, each of them has additional GMS frame, which I think by the rules are offered to you as an alternative option for the starter GMS, if that's something for Ali. One of them is a bit more on the slightly tankier side, kind of like a vendor type support. The other one is a bit more on the hacker tech system side. They have some small statistics changed, but still overall a lot more generalistic. Still have that kind of like generalistic vibe to the GMS. It's just they have a slight inclination to a specific role compared to the main GMS SP1. But I think you can have them as an alternative. But I'm guessing for anybody who starts this game for the first time, it's probably best to just take the standard option, and then in future games you can explore alternatives as a starter. Then second, you add bonuses to your mech skills. At LL0, your character starts with 2 points to spend on mech skills. You get plus 2 HP points for per point, or plus 1 repair per cap, plus 1 evasion per agility point, or 1 speed per 2 points of that, plus 1 tech attack and e-defense per system point, or plus 1 SP per 2 system points, plus 1 hit cap per engineering point, or plus 1 use of limited gear per 2 that. And then you add your grit to your mech's HPs and SPs, attack rolls and save target. But to remember, you get your first point at LL1, so at LL0 there's no bonus on that. Pick a weapon and pick weapons, sorry, not a weapon, weapons, and allocate them to your frame's available mounts. Unless they have the unique tag, you can take weapons from you can take weapons more than once. You can have duplicates as long as they are not tagged unique. At LL0, you can only choose the GMS weapon list. Use the system up to your SP unless they have the unique tag. You can take the same system more than once. And at LL0 you can only choose them from the GMS system list. You write down your core bonus, if any, and you choose your first core bonus at LL3. But I think you have like I think the GMS has a core ability of some sort, I think, if I remember. Then finally you write down your relevant talents, where at LL0 you get 3 rank 1 talents. And with that you have created your mech, that also with the abilities tied to the pilot, you know, driving it. And that's kind of it. It's a lot simpler. Yeah, it can get a bit, some people have called it a bit mathy. I think it's a lot more simpler in the math than some other systems that I've seen out there. And you know, if you take it slowly, I think you can easily kind of wrap your head around it. It's not too complicated, and especially because they keep it within kind of the same logic across multiple aspects. Like, you know, you have rank 3 talents, rank 3 licenses, you know, max plus 6 triggers, max plus 6 mech skills. So everything is kind of flows around kind of the same numbers. So it's gonna be hard to like misremember, or at the very least forget something, because they're not really a ton of exceptional or edge case scenarios when it comes to general character creation, and it's something more about specifics that you'll probably unlock later down the line. And I'm pretty sure like the GMS is taken a lot simpler. So yeah, now because we're kind of done with it, and that basically covers all of it, we kind of get an example of character creation, and then we're also gonna check out ComCom as well to kind of show how exactly that looks in there. Let's put it all together and see a character in action. Our example Lancer today is Taro Oda. Example character Taro Oda. To begin with, Oda's player grabs a piece of a paper and jots down Oda's names and license level, LL0 for now. The next step is for his player to choose a background and 4 triggers. Oda's player decides that Oda grew up in the colonies, so she writes down colonist as a background. Oda is also pretty astute and good at gunplaying, so his player chooses the triggers read a situation, spot, take someone out, and survive, each at a +2. In play, Oda's player can invoke his background to get additional accuracy on a skill check, and the game master can invoke Oda's background to his difficulty of a roll. Next, Oda player writes down some gear that Oda always brings with him on missions. Looking at the list of available pilot gear, she chooses a medium signature weapon, Oda's hunting rifle, a light hard suit for maneuverability, and extra rations. She gets to distribute 2 points in mech skills, so she puts them both in whole, so she gets a +2 HP and and also, like, what was it? I forgot, just +1 repair cap. Lastly, Oda player gets to choose 3 talents at rank 1. She takes Crack Shot, Infiltrator, and Leader. Here's an example of what the pilot looks like on paper. So, Taro Oda, background colonist, trigger, read the situation, spot, take someone out, survive +2. Gear, medium signature weapon, light hard suit, extra rations. Talents: Crack Shot rank 1, Infiltrator rank 1, and Leader rank 1, for bonuses, and a GMS license. Now, building the mech. At LL0, Oda, like all other pilots, have access to the GMS license. Oda's starting frame is the GMS standard pattern 1 Everest. The only frame available to LL0 pilots, Oda's players decides to call his mech Raijin. Because yeah, you can also, you're also not only giving yourself a name, you're also giving yourself a name for the mech, which is technically also your designation name in a mission. Think of it as that as well. Oda's players looks through the GMS weapons list and chooses the heavy anti-material rifle for the Everest heavy mount, the assault rifle for the main weapon, as a main weapon for the main mount, and 2 tactical knives as his auxiliary mount. From Oda's haul, Raijin gets a +4 HP and a +1 repair cap. She also gets 6 SP points and chooses the following customizations. Pattern B, hex charges, rapid burst jump jet system, and type 3 projected shield. So HP in total is 14 plus 4 from hull. Repair cap is 6 plus 1 from hull. Evasion 8, cap 6, speed 4, 10, E-defense 8, attack plus 0, size 1, and armor 0. As traits, which these are like general, these are general traits of the Everest, so all Everest will have these. Once per scene, the Everest may take any quick action as a free action, and replaceable parts. While resting, the Everest can be repaired at a rate of repair per 1 structure damage instead of 2 repairs. 1 repair per 1 structure damage. So, you know, being that it's the Walmart of mechs, basically, you can just easily swap around parts, and it's not as complicated to repair as the other frame licenses, as it's the all-rounder. System points 6, mech skills, hull 2, system 0, agility 0, injury 0. Mounts, for the ox is tactical knife for each, for the main an assault rifle, the heavy an anti-material rifle, and a core system hyperspec fuel injector. And now, and that's it. Oda is ready for his first mission, and that's kind of the example you'll get for what exactly it's gonna look like at when you start a character at LL0. Then, as an example and follow-up, let's say leveling up Oda and Raijin at LL3 to kind of get an idea of what level up looks like. Before we move on, let's take a glance at what Oda and Raijin might look like at LL3. After completing 3 missions and leveling from LL0 to LL3, Oda gets free talent ranks, free licenses ranks, free increases for his to his triggers, and free mech skill points, and a core bonus. If this seems a little overwhelming, remember that Oda's players didn't need to choose everything at once. She picks them one at a time. Then Oda has a rank 3 license, the IPSN Riley. He has access to the Raw League frame at rank 2. Since rank 2, Oda's player also gets to choose a core bonus from the IPSN list. Since he now has 3 license ranks from the manufacturer, he takes the reinforced frame, gives Raijin an extra plus 5 HP. Oda players now has full access to all of the systems, weapons in the IPSN Raw League license now. So this is what the pilot looks like at LL3. Same background unchanged colonist. Through all the advancements, read situation has been bumped down to +6, so it was upgraded twice. Spot remains as a +2. Take someone out is a +4, so it has been upgraded once, and survive it remains a +2. You can get 2 +2s per get 1 +2 per level up, which you can either apply to one of the triggers or you can make a new one. And in this situation, for level 1, 2, and 3, they have been chosen to be piled on existing ones. For gear, it has remained the same: signature weapon, hunting rifle, light hardsuit, extra rations, and also cooking gear now. Mech skills have been bumped up to hull 5, which that means that you get an additional bonus of 10 HP, a +2 repair cap. Talents, crackshot is now a rank 2, infiltration has remained a rank 1, and leader is now being bumped up to rank 3. For bonuses, the reinforced frame IPSN is a +5 HP, and licenses, the GMS remains there with the new IPSN Riley that is now rank 1 to 3. So what does Raijin look like at LL3? Instead of building Raijin with the Everest frame, Oda uses the Ryleg. Oda's player decides to mount 2 hand cannons, weapons from the IPSN Ryleg license, instead of the knives. Oda player has now 7 SPs, 5 from the Ryleg frame, and 2 from Oda's grid, and chooses the following upgrades: the Pattern B hex charges, which are 2 system points from the GMS license, the Type 3 shield, which are 2 system points from the GMS license, personalization, which is 1 system point for the GMS license, which, if I remember, the personalization is things like paint job, that kind of stuff. But it has a mechanical benefit. Rapid burst jump jet system is 2 system points per GMS license. So this is the Raijin League variant. HP is 28, 5 from the core bonus, plus 10 from the whole, plus 2 from the grid, and plus 2 from personalization. So that is as a total bonus of 19, which the League basically means that would have just 9 HP baseline. Repair cap, it's a 6 from with a plus 2 from the hall, so that means that it usually has a cap of 4. Evasion 8, speed 4, sensor 10, heat cap 5, armor 1, so it's a bit more tankier, E defense 8, size 1, and tech attack 0. As traits, it has the full metal jacket. At the end of its turn, the Raleigh hasn't made any attack or forced any saves. It can reload all loading weapons as a free action. Nice. Shielded magazines. The Raleigh can make range attacks when jammed. So yeah, basically, yeah, these traits are unique to the specific frame, which are an extra thing to kind of take in consideration whenever you're choosing a frame. System system points 7 with 2 from the grid. So as a baseline, it is 5. Mounts, 2 hand cannons for each auxiliary. The assault rifle remains for the main, and the anti-material rifle remains for the heavy. The core system, you have the M35 Mjolnir cannon, and installed systems, the Pattern B hex charges, the rapid burst jump jet system, the Type 3 projected shield, and the personalization. And that's kind of how it looks. Of course, it gets expansive as you advance in levels, and if you were to be dropped at, I don't know, higher license levels, then yeah, it's gonna be a lot to choose from. But starting from early on, you don't have that much to choose, and yeah, you get quite a lot of options and selections. It's not too complicated. As I said, a lot of the concept, and probably one of the reasons why the combat and the gameplay feels so tight and well balanced and well rounded out, is because most of it's side advancements. You don't get too high of a power creep because everything is at max a rank 3. That means which you obtain within 3 level ups. So you reach multiple capstones really fast, and all of them are within similar power. So there's not much to lose. Now, to kind of get a quick idea, I'm not gonna go through all of them, just to kind of show them up a bit. We can look a bit at talents, which are now a part of the character creation. Doesn't really show it here. The gear system and attacks and all that, again, just something maybe you could look up yourself. I'm not gonna go through all of this because this is a compendium where you would probably look through all of this, and just from even as a starter character, you still have the talents, the gear and systems, pilot gear, and the GMS system. So at the very least, from 90 to 122, which that's still like 50-ish or so pages of 30-ish or so pages of things that you need to look for, need to kind of make choices for your characters. So still a bit. I'm not gonna go through all of them, but at the very least, to kind of get an idea when it comes to talents, this is kind of what you expect. Like, these are the you have a specific type of this is the talent Ace. Every time you rank up, you're gonna obtain these ones in succession. This is rank 1, then you have rank 2, then rank 3, and after that you basically the capstone, usually rank 3 or something of the sort, gives you some sort of ability or benefits. Most of them apply to combat. For example, you have Ace, which is very stereotypically kind of focused around you being a highly skilled pilot, like when it comes to like maneuverability, similar to kind of I guess You're the top gun of mechs, I guess you could follow that at. Bonded. Guys, is a dangerous place. Luckily, you've found yours. Maybe you enlisted together, or were you by the engagement? You didn't start out as friends, or maybe you were raised to fight alongside each other. However, your friendship came to be. When it comes to time to drop, there's no one you'd rather be at your side. Alone, steadily together, your nature. Yeah, bonded is kind of like a support, you know, kind of talent where, you know, you cooperate with another pilot. Brawler, kind of from its name, it's more about kind of like melee combat. Crackshot, more about, you know, good with aiming. Brutal, just being brutal in general. That doesn't really apply to melee. It could be anything. So just make your shit hurt even worse. Sentimane. The aftermath of the attack. Baronies quickly release a statement of denial, which I think this one is a bit more lore specific. But it is connected to the drones. So, if you want to have like drone specific combat, this is the one. Combined arms. Choosing doesn't come from mastering the blade or the gun, it comes from knowing how to use both. So if you want to be some sort of like jack of all trades with both melee and range, this can go. And again, you get 3 rank 1 talents, and technically by level 12 you can have a total of 4 of them maxed out, rank 3. So think of it this way: you can have combined arms, you can have brawler and crackshot together. So basically you specialize in using both melee and range, and you also heavy specialize on both, so you get higher benefits from that as well. And who knows, if you want to be even deadlier, you can also add brutal on top as your final thing. So now whenever you're doing really well in either of them, you also are deadly. So that's something that you can do, because that's kind of thing. You can mix and match, you can take ideas, because some of them synergize together. A lot of them like synergize well together, or have some interesting themes or interplay between them. Duelist, you know, you are kind of a blade master. You are really good with the blade. You've mastered the blade. Drone commander, you know, another performance when it comes to controlling drones and making your drones a lot better. So basically, drone commander with the Sentimane can also have a nice interplay. Engineer, which is pretty nice. You can have a prototype weapon. You have a specialized weapon that you can semi-customize. You can customize its damage type. You can customize the type of range it has as well. It also gives you a few specific traits. It also mentions that it is limited. As well, but if you advance yourself in engineering, that gives you more options to use the limited uses. So, but again, you have 1d6 plus 2, but if you then advance your engineering, you basically have 1d6 plus 2 plus whatever extra points of engineering you have. So more of that, of course, you can, and then it becomes better and better. Plus your prototype is now limited to d6 and deals 1d6 plus 4 damage. So yeah, a lot of things like that. Executioner, something to another thing that to specialize yourself to melee combat. Again, you can also stack a lot of these to basically become a master, you know, I don't know, master melee user. You can have executioner, brawler, I guess you know, executioner, brawler, combined arms, brutal, and just in case if you want to still have a bit of that versatility, but overall just simply focus on using the blade, or like blade master instead of being versatile. Exemplar, something a bit kind of, if I remember correctly, yeah, a bit of kind of like a duelist. You're basically putting someone to an basically kind of like a knightlyhood type of duel. Gunslinger, again, you want to kind of specialize on your firearms in a very kind of cowboy style. With it, because you even have like from the hip reaction return fire. A character hits you with a range attack, you may immediately attack them with a single auxiliary range. So yeah, literally kind of cowboy-esque. Grease Monkey, if you want to add even more to that kind of, you know, engineering flavor of it. This one is more on the general kind of utility. Higher, you know, you can use repairs to replenish limited. Machine Bond, when you stabilize, you clear also other status effects, anything of the sort. So yeah, that's nice. Hacker, quite obvious because there has already been mention of system of tech attacks, so you can like specialize yourself in just into the attack. Heavy gunner, so if you want to use like big guns, you have something specialized in that. Hunter, if you for you know smaller, basically specialization around like smaller weaponries like auxiliary and melee weapons, which now become also ranged with them. Infiltrator, something a bit more stealthy-ish for the battlefield. Roguish, if that's something you're like. Juggernaut, if you just want to be an unstoppable force, literally, so just immovable. Not necessarily immovable, unstoppable force. Leader, something more kind of charismatic, I guess. Think of it like I guess either the bards or the commanders of the battlefield that offer buffs. Even have like leadership dice to offer other characters. Yeah, kind of like the bards of this game. Nuclear Cavalier. This is the one that I mentioned where you can literally danger zone. You can just you can play around with the concept with your heat levels and get benefits from it, to the point where, you know, here, catch, you modified your mech to launch its superheated fuel rods at the enemy. You gain the following weapon as an integrated mount: fuel rod, main close quarter combat, limited 3, unique, and yeah, basically you do a 1d3 plus 2 shock damage. On attack, it clears 4 heat. But yeah, basically it's this whole idea of getting up your heat as high as possible to increase your damage. While in the danger zone, you plus 2 heat on a hit. The first attack roll you make on your turn while in the danger zone. Heal. If you enter the danger zone during your turn, this talent effect takes effect next attack. So yeah. Siege Specialist, so if you want to be more in the idea of ruining any sort of cover or any sort of kind of structures or bunkers, that's kind of your thing. Skirmisher, if you want to be someone that kind of weaves around the battlefield, have that. Spotter, that this one can work really well with kind of like a sniper type of build. If you really want to be like, oi, got him, I'm locked on him, he's fucked now, he cannot escape me. Stormbringer, I think this one is kind of focused around, like, it's a bit thematic, like I guess lightning style of damage, and you have some of them like that in that type. Tactician, a lot more kind of like combat support. Technophile, which this one is another interesting one, because this one, technically this is one of the few that allows you to, I would say, would allow you to gain some benefits outside of combat, because you become well liked by NHPs. So even like a cascading NHP by a certain degree, so long as your custom NHP vouches for you, NHPs that are cascading or unshackled no longer view you with indifference. So technically this offers you some narrative play, and alongside it you actually have an NHP that, you know, basically evolves and still evolves. And I would say that, you know, this one can become interesting. I would honestly put it more into the aspect of kind of think of it like a warlock, where it starts slowly but it kind of builds up, and you're gonna be on this weird interplay of figuring out who's the master and who's the servant, because you realize that this creature, this entity could probably be way more powerful than you are. Vanguard, and also walking armory. So basically he'll be just out there giving out all the toys and weapons to everyone around. So yeah, you have some options here. Gears and systems. It once again kind of explains you the tags. You get also like a ton of explanation on how exactly these work, which I'm probably gonna cover another time, not today. The tags as well. Pilot gear tactics. Artificial intelligence, handing over. Yeah, this one kind of goes a bit into the key systems. Yeah, here you have a pilot gear. Well, that you get access to and gives you kind of an idea of what bonuses you get. So yeah, also then kind of give you like a 3 HP bonus at best if you are talking about hard suits. Have like mobility things and have other things bonuses than HP. So yeah, and you know, limited pilot gear as well. Miscellaneous gear also. Look. Tertiary arm, a powerful powered third arm. And yeah, introducing licensing, level ups, that sort of things. Here it kind of talks about the licenses and what you have available. Comes to licenses themselves. Yeah, and after that you basically get into each of them. Oh yeah, GMS standard pattern Everest 1, just to give an idea what this is the standard stats of the GMS mech, the one that you start up with. It's a size 1, its armor is 0, save target 10 and sensors 10, HP at 10, repair cap 5, defense 10, tech attacks plus 0, 6 system points by default, 8 evasion, 4 speed, and heat cap 6. Traits, as we've mentioned before, once per scene, the Everest can make a quick action as a free action, and replaceable parts. In case of it can use 1 repair per 1 structure damage instead of the default 2. You have the mention of mounts. You have the main mount, the flex mount, and the heavy mount, and also the core system, the hyper spec fuel injector, active at 1 core point. Also 1 CP protocol. For the rest of the scene, you gain a +1 on all attacks, checks, and saves. Additionally, once per turn, you can boost as a action. Okay, you also have systems, GMS general market, personalization, turret attacks. And its core system. Kind of get an idea. Let's look at the IPSN, like North Star. Get a Blackbeard, its core system, assault grapplers. At license 1, what you get, license 2. And here we get to license 3, where it systems, what NHP you get, and also what that's the system, that's the NHP protocol. Core system is here. The harpoon, but yeah, interesting collection. That, you know, from this point on, it's up to you to kind of, you know, discover all of that. Yeah, now looking at the time, sure, if we have enough, yeah, There we go. Yeah, because of I have things framed. Paste. But yeah, here you can also create your own pilot. Yeah, you can have name designation, the call sign, approved call sign, or cadet designation if applicable are required. Or background. Attach biographical dossier. Attach examination. Pilot image. I think we can take so like this then. Oh, the identification of frame. Yeah, here you have the pilot skill triggers, which are taken from the suggested options. Which are also nicely, because you know this is from the list offered in the core book, and they are like nicely grouped up in categories, like things related to combat, things related to skills, related to thinking outside the box and creatively, things related to social aspects, and then you also have your own custom ones. So you know that's a nice way of kind of covering those together. And you have your talents, which here we've been given automatically: ace, bonded, brawler, brutal. Yeah, walking armory, bonded, and swordbreaker. Those are the ones selected. Yeah, lock, remove. Yeah, you have the option here to select as well, but you have all them listed down below, and you can quickly just search them. Bringer, so you don't necessarily have to just go like that. Plus, you know, you also have icons that can give you like quick overlays, show you what you have chosen. You can also have them like listed like this, and just get the quick mentions of each of them, or you have like the full display. And then your mech skills, which fully into a whole, and also tells you how much you get of them. So it tells me that I also have full repair capacity and full P. Nice. It's, you know, it keeps it simple, it keeps it easy, and also allows you to kind of add your own customization, names, call signs, backgrounds. That's something you can add yourself. Exactly. Let's see. Oh, it's just mention to you that hey, this is been selected. Well, let's put it like that, just because I don't want pilot biography, so you can add your backstory, health examination results. I guess you can want some. I think this one could be like description. I think this is a way to add. Yeah, I'll add pilot description, add pilot biography. So you also have like a quick summary of all the things mentioned here. You have the mech skills, talents, pilot, and then here you have your gear loadout already. I think the game already put a few of them. And mech hangar, here it goes. Divisible prime, which I'm pretty sure, like I think you have like a random generator for the names, which is pretty fun. Up operator node. Mention. Here you have all the stats already with the bonuses applied, so you don't have to do the math yourself. You know, missile racks and all that. Assault rifle, no, a heavy melee weapon. Ammo case for system, pattern B Mech charge, which is one of the systems, which is a frag grenade. Pattern A smoke charge, which is a smoke grenade. Personalization, which, yeah, this mentions that, hey, you can add minor modifications to your mech, but it's also a way for you to... Okay, I almost forgot. Yeah, because it was about to hit. You also have like custom paint job, but the cool thing is that it gives you like mechanical benefits. Like for the custom paint job, when you take structure damage, you roll a d6. On a 6, you return to 1 HP and ignore the damage, so you basically got a paint scratch. This system can only be used once before each full repair. Personalization, you gain plus 2 HP. Consultation with the game master, you may establish a minor modification that you have made to your mech. This mod has no numerical benefit beyond the additional HP it grants, but it could provide other useful effects. If the game master agrees, that mod could help either a pilot or mech skill check, and you gain plus 1 accuracy for that check. So you can add something that... So basically, I guess in a way you could call it that you've added an additional trigger to your that is specific to your mech. Maybe you can have like a, I don't know, like an engineering rack or something like that, something that gives you access to some maybe engineering tools that are applied, or who knows, maybe something else of this, maybe something focused to other skills as well. But yeah, that's yeah, it's pretty cool. It's also like, you know, heavily structured in this kind of like, you know, techie kind of mecha style. Kind of everything is very graphically kind of like in a kind of like a computer in a way. A bit more, I guess, not necessarily retro, but stylized, let's call it. But yeah, you basically have a section of hangars, and here you can add all your mechs. You have your tactical profile, which basically gives you everything listed for your available licenses, what special equipment you have, or your skills for the mech, what core bonuses, which at the moment you have none because it's level 0, and what talents you have available. Your narrative profile, which is, you know, for your narrative play whenever you're not in a mission, so you can easily see your triggers, reserves and bonuses, as well as what loadout the character on its own has. And a generalized dossier where here you have the image, player notes, appearance, biography, general combat telemetry, which I'm not sure exactly how you would edit this. How this edit how this exactly would be edited, I am imagining, because aside from this you also have the content manager and encounter toolkit, so you can, you know, build encounters. I think there might be a way to I think there might be a way to track all of this for the mission runner and all that. To be fair, I've not explored every aspect of it, but it's nice that you have like trackers as well, other like small little like flavor things here and there, and it's pretty cool. I honestly like it myself. But yeah, that kind of covers it. This is kind of the general character creation, which is not too complex. It's not too bad. On its own, pretty approachable and quite well-rounded, in my opinion. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for me. That's I kind of rushed for the CompCon section, unfortunately, because, you know, we're kind of hitting the hour, and I don't think I want to extend post the ad break, because I don't think I'm gonna be here. I would have taken too long with that character creation, and it's something that you can explore for yourself as well, because it's really available, so you can use it. I think you can only have access to like the free content, without that is not part of the core rulebook, just the free PDF. But if you have the core rulebook, there is a way for you to actually unlock it through a content manager file, which is pretty neat. That's also like a way for you to unlock homebrew content as well. So that's a nice way to either have people have homebrew custom content that they can release freely available, or hey, if you for some reason, let's say, create something monetized, you can have it as part of the pack that you're selling. So that way CompCon can still remain viable as a character management and counter running tool, even for custom material that others are making. I'm not sure exactly what their ruling is when it comes to monetizing your own custom content or anything of the sort. I haven't yet looked on it, because I'm not yet too knowledgeable in the game to jump into that kind of bandwagon to create something custom myself and to put it out there. But I'll have to look into it at some point. I would like to do some things here if some ideas strike me fancy. But yeah, that's gonna be it. I've run within a decent amount of runtime, 4-ish hours. I think that's a nice easy. And again, because aside from the CompCom, there's nothing else I wanted to cover or talk about. So I just rushed it right now, so we don't have to delay it for any longer. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. But before I go, per usual, I'd like to check out some friends. So let's see if there's somebody around we can say hi to. Quite a few. Let's see. Buddy, we may like to jump to. We have an idea, but let me do a bit. Okay, we'll do that. Let's, I guess, in a very mecha fashion, let's call it that way, jump into the friend of ours, YouTubes. Because it's easier that on the first. Okay, now rate channel. Yeah, we're jumping at Robe's place. She's currently playing Ultra Kill, so I feel like, hey, that makes a bit of sense. You know, you're a mech obsessed creation that needs to be powered by blood, and after talking about a system that is full of other horrifying mech or AI creations that may not necessarily want blood, but probably want something nefarious either way. So yeah, definitely not fun. But anyways, that's gonna be it for me for today. Tomorrow I am back with some 9 souls, back to the torture of having to fight the fucking boss, because that's where I left off a few weeks ago, and I'm kind of afraid now to jump back in because it's been a bit. I've played the 9 souls and I feel like that boss is gonna fucking crush me, and because I was not able to beat it during that time, during those final hours of the stream, so kind of dreading it. But we'll see how that turns out. So yeah, and that's probably gonna be it for this week, and then next week we're gonna jump in with a new schedule, new things to do, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, thank you so much for being here. You're amazing. Don't you forget that. I'll see you on the flip side. Bye.